All right. I think we're live now. Just give me a few minutes to let everybody roll in. Kind of made a mess on my desk a second ago. All right. How's everybody doing? Welcome to episode 26. It's been quite a while. Somebody said it's been 84 years. Yeah, it's been 84 years. It's been like 6 months since the last time I did a Q&A live stream. I've kind of shared online previously. That was because of the family emergency that popped up that kind of took me out of it for a few months. And then after that, it just kind of went off the rails with the live streams. And it was hard to get back into it because we were like neck deep working on the games and stuff. So that's why it's been a minute since we did one of these Q&A live streams. And hopefully I can get these back on track and do them a little more often. I have more to talk about now. That was kind of the other thing was 2023. If you guys have watched the holiday special, you know that it wasn't really a really super productive in the sense of actually having releases kind of year. It was very productive as far as getting work done. It's just nothing, not a lot of stuff went out, so there wasn't a lot of talk about, and I can't answer spoiler questions. So yeah, not a lot of material for the live streams, but now I think we're in a good place. So I'm kind of kicking this off again. Unfortunately, right now I actually have COVID. So I got COVID over the Chinese New Year going out with the family. So I'm actually sick right now. So I might sound a little different through the mic. I don't know what I sound like on the other end right now, but I'm like doped up on a lot of medication right now. But so this stream might be a little bit shorter than normal because it's like 12, it's like midnight here. Usually I could go to like 3 a.m., but tonight I don't know if I'm going to make it that long because of the meds. So bear with me. I'm going to kind of do less super chats than normal, although I'll try to get everybody and answer everyone as best I can. And I'm probably going to answer questions primarily from the server members, our YouTube subscriber members, super chats, and just some of the questions I see in the live stream chat. So I'll keep it at that, and we'll have things a little bit more situated next time for episode 27. If you can see right now, I'm in the new streaming room in our office. It's not really set up yet. We got a bunch of like sound panels that I haven't put up yet, but I'm gonna kind of get this room together and make it look a little more interesting for the future live streams. Yeah, we got a nice spot for the plushies on the wall. So yeah, I see some of you are pretty eagle eye. You might have seen the Dark Star and Puppet King plushie sitting there. So yeah, we already have prototypes for those. So yeah, Dark Star and Puppet King are sitting behind me on the shelf. At some point, we're going to work with Makeshift to put those out. Obviously, it'll be probably around when Chapter 5 goes out. So until then, you can see them here. I'll probably share some photos online at some point. But yeah, you can get an early sneak peek at them right now in this room. So, okay. So yeah, bear with me if I cough or sneeze during this live stream. It may happen. I tried to get it all out before the stream kicked off, but no promises. We'll see. I brought some tea into the room to kind of keep me from coughing and then promptly spilt it all over my desk. So I'm going to clean that up after this. It's all good now. But yeah, we're going to kick things off with the member questions. I've got a few of them that I'm going to look at just from my phone because we're still getting things set up in here. I've got DD West asked me, will we get any more Darkstar OSTs? And is Kingslayer an escape theme? And is the Puppet King a cutscene theme? Oh, this is like a laundry list of questions. Let me get the last one here. Is there a Chapter 5 level with the letters AA in it? Well, I can do, like, let me just get this out of the way now. You guys already know this. I can't, Chapter 5 has a ton of spoilers, like really big ones. So I can't talk about Chapter 5 too much. And if I do talk about it, rest assured it means that it has no impact on the, it's not something that's a spoiler or it's going to ruin the game for you, the chapter. So it almost, it's not inconsequential, but it's something that I don't mind to share. Then it means it's not that important in the chapter. So Will we get more Darkstar OSTs? Possibly. I'm kind of looking at what Darkstar OSTs I can actually share because her level has a definite style to it. I don't want to reveal what that style is in advance. It is kind of a spoiler. Um, there are some things that I can share, kind of like the one that I put up, which was the "Don't Look Down." We've got don't look back, don't look down. We'll get don't look left and don't look right next. So yeah, I'm sure there's at least one or two more Darkstar OSTs that I can share, but I'm gonna keep a lot of them secret, especially the ones that Adriana has done, because I've told you previously that she does vocals for a lot of the songs in level 10, and she's an amazing singer. So I want to kind of save those for the release. Kingslayer, an escape theme. Why? Yes, it is. And is the Puppet King a cutscene theme? Oh, Puppet King. Okay, yeah. I guess you could say it's kind of a cutscene theme. I would put it more as like an event theme. Um, but yeah, it's kind of the same thing, right? All right, Joy Joy Lucky. Hey Vince, hope you're well and amazing job on House of Ashes. Oh yeah, I hope you all have been enjoying House of Ashes since that's release. We're really happy to have all the Phase 2 Monsters and Mortals DLCs done. We finally get to move on to Phase 3, which is the Piggy, Doors, and the Coma. And if any of you have looked at the Monsters and Mortals page today, you can now wishlist the U.S. Creators DLC. So the Corey Kenshin DLC is up. You can wishlist it. Some of you, depending on your time zone, it may not have gone active in your region yet. You might have to wait a day, but it is up, so you'll be able to see it and wishlist it. And you will be able to see the Coma pretty soon too. I think probably next week you'll be able to wishlist the Coma. So continue on with Joy. Sorry, I had to kind of pause on Joy Joy Lucky's question and just kind of throw that out there real quick. But getting back to Joy Joy Lucky, what he wanted to ask was, he says, I want to ask this just to get out of the way, as I'd imagine a lot of people ask about this, but what happened to the holiday horror demo? Also, are you able to talk about why Boxy Boo and the employee got scrapped from the Poppy DLC? If not, it's fine. Have a good day. So yeah, the holiday horror demo, which was from Tokyo Game Show, that was made, but it was something we weren't happy with, and we didn't. It felt weird to put it out and give people a bad first impression of Chapter 5, because to me, we had to hide everything from the demo, so it wasn't really a demo of Chapter 5. It was like this crippled playable thing. I mean, I'm sure it would have brought some people some satisfaction, but overall it was detrimental to the chapter, so we just decided not to show it. And then shortly after that, I had the whole family issue, so it just kind of got left in the dust. So if anyone's hoping that's going to come back, sorry, it's not. But by the time you see Chapter 5, you won't care about that anyway. As far as Boxy Boo and the employee, those were things that were kind of promised to us by Mob Entertainment during the course of working on the Poppy Playtime DLC, which later became Poppy Panic. And as is in the nature in business, sometimes the terms of an agreement change for no reason at all, just various reasons that make sense to them or it suits their company. And you can't really complain about that or make a big fuss. You just kind of have to roll with what works for both sides. So, I mean, for us, we wanted to get the Poppy Playtime DLC out. That's what's important. So we weren't willing to torpedo that DLC just to put our foot down for some extra characters. So I know some people are disappointed that Boxy Boo and the employee or the player, I think that's what he's talking about, the player, it's called the player, didn't make it into the DLC. That wasn't our choice, but I'm still very happy with the DLC. Maybe at some point, if the DLC continues to sell well, once we get it out across, consoles and everything, then Mob Entertainment might want to add additional characters to it. I don't think so, because just being honest, like compared to the single player games like Poppy Playtime and Dark Deception, the main game, Like Project Playtime and Monsters and Mortals don't sell nearly as well as those games. They don't have as big of a player base. So their motivation is more to work with like the single player game than the multiplayer game. So we were very happy that they were willing to work with Monsters and Mortals, even though it's like a significantly smaller player base than Dark Deception. I mean, Monsters and Mortals, it's its own thing. It's got enough fans and players to keep it alive and keep it profitable, and that's really all it needs. But for a large operation like Mob Entertainment that has hundreds of employees, they need something that puts out bigger numbers. So it's not saying that there will never be Boxy Boo or the player in Dark Deception. Maybe it'll just be in a different collaboration, not Monsters and Mortals. But I'm happy with what we got. It was still a lot of fun to work on it. So it's weird though. It's like we put I put a poll up for what was the best DLC in Monsters and Mortals, and everybody voted Poppy Playtime. Now I could chalk that up as just name recognition. You know, everybody's like, well, you know, this is one of the big YouTube horror games, Poppy Playtime, so we're just going to vote that. But I would like to think it's genuine and people genuinely think that's their favorite one or that's the best one. But it's also the lowest rated DLC. So every other DLC's got over a 94% rating, but Poppy's like got trashed on the rating. It was like below 70 or something. I don't. It just they a lot of people felt because it's only one character, it wasn't enough content. And there was like a lot of unhappiness with the trap at first, which we fixed for various reasons, but people still love it despite that. So, you know, the IP does matter, because the fandom is what kind of keeps those DLCs profitable enough to do. So, I mean, if all of our DLCs don't sell, then we can't do them anymore. Okay, so I got another question from Judinator. Let's see. Who voices the characters in the House of Ashes DLC? So this is fun. I think you remember that the House of Ashes DLC got delayed at the last minute for like an additional week or 8 days or something like that. It was supposed to come out February 8th. And I think we wound up releasing it on like, what was it, the 19th or 18th? I think it was 19th. So that was entirely because of the voices for House of Ashes. So we found out, we thought we had the voices in, and then we really realized at the last second that we had overlooked it the entire development process. Like we realized there were no voices in there. We had sound effects for the human characters, but we didn't have their voices. And unfortunately, they are SAG actors, so there's a lot of paperwork to go through to get the voices and reuse them from House of Ashes. And neither us or Supermassive wanted to go through that and do it. So we basically just took some generic male soldier voices and tone shifted them. No, don't worry, there was no AI used. This was done manually in Audacity until they kind of sounded like the original actors or the character. And then we just used those. So I actually don't know who the voice actor are. It was from like a sound site that we use to get some of our sound effects that we usually like kind of blend together and combine and edit and chop it up and mix it. We never use anything from that just straight downloaded. We always modify it a lot to where it's kind of its own thing. But the vampire sounds are straight from House of Ashes because that's a creature sound effect. There's no Actors Guild to go through. And I think, yeah, Balathu and Clarice are also vampire sounds. So those three characters are genuine voice lines straight from House of Ashes. Jason and Salim were kind of cooked up at the last minute, and it came out pretty good. I think we did a good job on that. It sounds pretty close, not exact. And you know, we had that same issue with Silent Hill. We weren't able to use the original voice actors for Heather Mason or Sybil, so we had to kind of get a different voice actress for that. So we already have experience doing that, where we kind of use our own voice actor. And honestly, our partners usually prefer that rather than using the original. All right, let me see. Shadow Phoenix. Hey Vince, first huge props to the team for knocking it out of the park with House of Ashes. Oh, thank you. It's the best DLC by far, not even close. Very nicely done. I do have a question about Monsters and Mortals, though, a balance patch. It would be really good getting the overpowered characters adjusted, such as a certain one on the monster side that isn't available to purchase anymore, and gives the people who bought her a massive advantage over those who don't. Is this in the cards in the near future? It would drastically help the overall health of the game. I assume he's talking about the Ayano from the canceled Yandere Simulator DLC. So, yeah, that's one we can kind of balance. I mean, technically, we're not supposed to work on that anymore. But if there's a issue with her being a little bit OP, we can always nerf her down a lot so she's not such a favorable character anymore for those that bought it. Unfortunately, I would have removed Yandere Simulator DLC from the game entirely, but we didn't have a system in place in the game to basically uh, give the players rewards that bought it to compensate them for the purchase. So we have to leave the DLC in, but I would really just love to remove it. But it's our work. We put a lot of work into that DLC. So at the same time, I don't want to remove it. So it's kind of a pain point for me because we spent time on that and we did a lot of work on that and it looks good and it plays great. I love that environment because it's so big. But because of the issue with the creator and what happened, it's like we can't show our own work, and that's always that was kind of the worst case scenario that we talked about and thought it might be possible that someday it would happen. We just never imagined it would happen like so soon after releasing that DLC, or that incident would actually happen. So it was kind of we knew it was plausible, but we felt it was so far from actually something that would actually happen that we gave it a chance. And now you see the result. So we're stuck with that DLC, but we're not going to sell it ever again. And the people that have it, they put their hard-earned money into that, so we're not going to take it from them either. But at the same time, we don't want it to pop up in World Play. So what we're going to do pretty soon is remove it from the World Play rotation. The only way to play it will be with the private matches hosted. So only the people that own it will be able to start a match with that environment. It will not pop up in the World Play mode anymore. So that's kind of the compromise, I think. So our work's not lost. The people that bought it still get to keep it, but they can only do it private match with their friends. So anybody streaming Monsters and Mortals doesn't have to worry about that popping up in their stream, because I know that's very polarizing for a lot of people for good reason. It's a shame when you have to when the creation gets a lot of hate because of the creator, but that's just kind of how it goes. Let me see. So yeah, we will tweak that a bit in future balance patches. Xplex Max. Did I already do that? No. Okay. Hey Vince, will part of Malik's level take place in an office building? If this is the case, will the big M in Chapter 5 you mentioned a while back be on the front of the building to represent Malik? Well, that's a Chapter 5 spoilery question, but I did release a track called... What was that? It's called Corporate something. Gotta take a little look at it again. Cutthroat Corporation. So, I mean, there's a level, and Malik, it's his whole persona is the businessman. So it's reasonable that there's going to be some kind of a environment with a corporate vibe or office kind of facade or something. I'm not going to go any further than that because I don't want to give away things, but yeah, we do have a track called Cutthroat Corporation, so I'll leave it to you to kind of theorize on why that's there. All right, Hawkeye. Whoop, nope, I jumped ahead. Spectra. Hey, Vince, can there be Resident Evil 5 collab for Monsters and Mortals? And will Malik's level be called Malik's Money? Well, I can't give away the name of Malik's level yet. I'll probably keep that one secret until the release. But as far as Resident Evil 5 collab for Monsters and Mortals, I mean, Capcom will collab with anyone, anytime, as long as you have the numbers to make it worth their while. So Monsters and Mortals, it's done well on Steam. It's sold over 100,000 units, which is no small feat. Um, it's working its way to like 200,000, but that's like considered small numbers for a huge company like Capcom. They'd want to see much larger player numbers. So maybe like after we put it on consoles, if it can like get up to like 500,000 players, then Capcom might start to listen to us, and then a Resident Evil DLC might be possible. The reason that Dead by Daylight gets it because Dead by Daylight has a huge player base. So uh, Resident Evil's never off the table, but we haven't earned it yet. So we'll see if we can ever get to that. Hawkeye. Okay. Hey, Vince, hope you're doing well. Got a question for you. What was the game that ended up pushing you to become a game dev? I know that most devs have a game that inspired them to take that step. I'm curious as to which one or ones were the most influential to you to becoming a game dev. Okay, well, I'm going to kind of date myself a little bit with this one, but the big one that got me into games in particular back in the day was Doom. Remember, I'm from like the PS1 generation, so I'm a 90s kid. So Doom was like the big game when I was a kid. Um, and that was like pretty wild back then. So now it's kind of funny. It'll run on, a calculator. But back then that was like technical marvel. So the game that really got me into games was that. If I'm going to say something other than Nintendo, because Nintendo's kind of what introduces everybody to gaming for the most part, Mario and Zelda and all that. But the one that was like cool at the time was that. And then, there's tons of PlayStation games. The one that really got me into wanting to be a designer was Final Fantasy VII, because that was the first game that made me see that um, kind of like conveying emotions to the player was possible. It wasn't just mindless action. You could convey a story with emotions, just like a film. So I think that's the one that really made me want to kind of start designing games and go that way. Argo 4. Hey Vince, hope you're doing well. Since Monsters and Mortals is a little imbalanced with character choices, could we potentially get a primal fear nerf to even out combat? Maybe the player should be unstunned once they take damage. This way, Primal Fear can be used defensively instead of rewarding a free kill with zero counterplay. This might also make the game more fun than it already is. What's weird is everybody gets Primal Fear except me. I've played a few matches and I only got it once. And then nobody hit with me with it. So maybe they're being generous to me and not hitting me with it. But I think it's just because I play with testers in my team. So when I get into the match with like you guys usually slaughter me. So maybe I need to jump into a few more we'll play matches to see how things are going. As far as nerfing Primal Fear, I don't think so. Maybe we can create a counter to Primal Fear. So that'd be something I'm more interested in, is more counters. Something that we can kind of look at as we go. We have a couple new additions coming to the base game. I told you all before that I wanted to get through the Phase 2 DLCs, which was at the time Yandere Simulator, Poppy Playtime, and House of Ashes, before I went back to the base game again. Now we're done with those. Obviously, our attention is fully on Super Dark Deception right now. And then it's always on Chapter 5. That's just something we're always working on. But I think after we get, a few chapters, all the chapters up to Chapter 4 with Super Dark Deception out, we're going to go back and I'm going to start to add in some of the other base game stuff for Monsters and Mortals that's been sitting there that I haven't added. Stuff like Joy Joy Land. So we've got Joy Joy Land with Joy Kill as the boss. That's been kind of sitting there. It hasn't been added. Torment Therapy, Barely Buried. All those Chapter 4 levels. So adding those new levels in. Obviously, yeah, some balance passes. Of course, I kind of will do my own take on that because a lot of the feedback I get is very subjective. It's a lot of people's own personal opinions of what is balanced, no balanced. So according to the fan base, every single character is OP. Whatever character they lose against is OP. So I kind of have to filter through all that noise and take the actual feedback that's solid, and then kind of incorporate that into my own take on what's unbalanced at the moment. So I'll do a balance pass, and we'll kind of look through some bug fixes. We kind of have to anyway, because we're looking at bringing Monsters and Mortals to consoles soon. So that's something we kind of have to polish out before we kind of complete the ports for that. I'm not sure which consoles I'm going to promise you at this time. You know, Monsters and Mortals is built in Unreal Engine 5. So I can't guarantee it's going to run on Switch or Xbox One. That may be impossible with Unreal Engine 5. But I'm pretty sure PS4, PS5, and Xbox Series SX will be able to handle it. Definitely, you know, PS5 and Xbox Series X, they can handle it no problem. PS4 should be okay. Switch and mobile is a big question mark. We'll see. But at the very least, we'll get it on those 3 consoles. Rye Guy. Let's see. Have any future DLC level names been decided? Anything for Coma, Piggy, or Doors? We haven't named the levels for Coma, Piggy, or Doors yet. We usually kind of pick those at the last minute. Like as we're putting everything together, we'll kind of decide the level name after we discuss it with the partner. So since those have been on the shelf for a while, we haven't really addressed the level names with those yet. But obviously Piggy is going to have Piggy in there somewhere. It's going to be alliteration with PP. Doors will kind of do that. We usually try to keep the name in there somewhere, at least part of the name, especially these are just single word names: Coma, Piggy, Doors. It's not like Silent Hill or Poppy Playtime. So yeah, it'll definitely be probably like CC or PP or DD, that kind of alliteration. We'll see. LKZ says, "Hi Vince, if you enter Dark Deception, what monster will you encounter in the first level?" For me, I mean, for me, I would hope everybody encounters the murder monkeys first. That's just a good warm up for what comes next. It's the most basic enemy. So yeah, that's the first monster I thought of, so that's probably the first one I would encounter. Emily says, "Hey events, hope you're doing all right. I'm currently writing a fan story about Diamond Watchers. So my question is, what would you think about a fan game based on the diamonds?" I mean, I'm fully supportive of any fan game, if it's for Dark Deception or Monsters and Mortals, or later on if anybody wants to do mods for Super Dark Deception, I'm all for it. I mean, if you have something that you think the community will enjoy, that adds value to for everybody, something you want to share, I fully support you in moving forward with it. I'm not going to tell anybody they can't. The only thing I will tell people is if it's a fan game for the community, then it has to be free. Obviously, you can't sell it. If you have something that's really good and it's really something that has a lot of value for the community, and I think it's too good to consider it as just a fan game, then there's always possible that I may talk to you personally and even publish it. We're always looking to do kind of our version of a fan verse. So if anyone's putting a lot of work into their fan game and they want to submit it for consideration, yeah, send it our way. Send it to contact@glowstickentertainment.com. We'll take a look. And if it's approved and published by us, then you get to make money. You will be allowed to sell it. So that is the exception. But otherwise, if you just want to make something, you just want to get it out and share it with all the different, whichever community you're targeting, Monsters and Mortals or Dark Deception, then yeah, go for it. You definitely don't need my permission for that. Just be sure to put the disclaimer so there's no legal issues, and then make sure it's free for everybody. Let's see, Programmer. "Hi Vince, hope you and the team are doing well. The question I have for the Q&A is, will the tablet power layout change to make it easier to switch between them? If we get 2 new powers in Chapter 5, that will make 8 slots we'll have to cycle through just to get to 1 power." No, the UI is pretty set, so we're not going to do any drastic changes to that. That's kind of part of the gameplay, is having to cycle through and balance on the fly, making those decisions. So for this game, we're going to leave it as is. Obviously, when we get to the Dark Deception sequel, we're going to kind of mix things up a little bit as far as the interface, but we're going to take kind of the best elements from the first Dark Deception game and keep them and improve. So that's not saying your suggestion is ignored. It's just not going to see a change in this game. So there will be kind of a different interface in the sequel when we get to that after Chapter 5 goes out, but we're not making any drastic changes to Dark Deception's interface now. Let's see. Unicat Ninjas says, is Crazy Carnival Soul Collection going to be fixed as well with a new map? Well, if you specify what needs fixed, I can take a look at it. I'm not sure what you're referring to as far as what's broken with that. Let's see. Log. Whoops, 1 second. Sorry, I'm looking through the questions right now. Oh, okay. Somebody else mentioned the Soul Collection mode also. So Crash was asking about that. It says, will there be a patch to fix Soul Collection for Crazy Carnival to Ancient Ashes so it registers that there are 6 players and not 4? And possibly some lighting issues with Monkey Business, blah, blah, blah. Elementary Evil and Deadly Decadence. Okay, so it's not registering 6 players. We will look into that. That may be a recent bug, or it may have been in there and we just overlooked it. So we'll check that. Lighting issues are probably from the transition to Unreal Engine 5. There may be some lighting artifacts that we overlooked in the base game levels. So we fixed all the lighting issues in the DLCs, but there may be some that we missed in the base game levels, the Dark Deception levels. So looking at this, everything you named is a Dark Deception level. So I'm gonna assume that's the case. So we'll take another look at that. Thanks for pointing that out. All right. And then there's a request to buff Nixon to make him feel more useful. All right. Well, it's all in how you use them. There's a lot of people still, like I said, everybody's got their opinion on every character. I kind of have to weigh it with what's actually a problem. Let me see. Log has a question. Let me see. Could we have the old telepathy back, please? Have it as an option in the settings. Is this for Dark Deception or Monsters and Mortals? I guess it's Dark Deception. Yeah, guys, I get a lot of these questions about the telepathy. It's not going back to the old one. It's a performance issue. It can't be reversed. So the old plugin we were using is too performance intensive, and you guys are complaining all the time about optimizing for your PCs because they are what you call potato PCs, and you complain that UE5 won't run or UE4. So this was optimizing. You beg us to optimize. That was optimizing, and then you keep asking us to change it back. We can't. It will cause a significant frame drop in the gameplay. So that's why we removed it. It's not going back. Because I've had this asked several Q&As and just kind of put that out there for good. Like, it's not going back. 100% not going back. It's there to stay. So hopefully we can find a better solution for the sequel. I don't even know if we're going to have telepathy in Dark Deception 2. When we get past this first game with Chapter 5, we'll have to see what powers are there. But yeah, we'll obviously cook up some better presentation for that. This one, we're kind of hamstrung by our small team and what we can do with what we have. So that's just you're gonna have to live with that cloud. I mean, as long as it shows you where they are, it's doing its job. All right, so I'm gonna go past the member questions now and jump to super chats. So let me get those up real quick. And I gotta scroll back because I know some of you sent them in pretty early. So Mr. Saturn threw in $5. Thank you, Mr. Saturn. Says, hey Vince, why is there no restroom in Deadly Decadence where the sewers are the next stage? Sorry, mate. I noticed this a while back and had to ask. Sorry, there's no room for the golden toilets. Just ran out of space. UBF 13 threw in 5 also. What happened to the cursor that was in the first chapter? The cursor was removed. It just seemed like something we didn't need, and we didn't want it in there, so we just took it out. No reason other than that. Ghost TM threw in 5. Thank you, Ghost TM. Where do we share our suggestions on balance changes for Monsters Immortals? Also, when will the House of Ashes Trap Time OST be up? First time here live, by the way. Have a nice day. Well, thank you, and welcome to the first live stream, the first Q&A live stream that you've been part of. I hope this one answers a lot of your questions. But as far as the balance changes, if you want to send suggestions, you can just send them to probably contact@Glowstick Entertainment. That's usually where I kind of go through and look at emails from fans and suggestions and that stuff and kind of pull them all together. And as far as the House of Ashes Trap Time OST, I think, yeah, there's 2 other OSTs. I can share them on the Glowstick Entertainment channel, so I'll probably put those up pretty soon. I just kind of forgot about them. I've been busy, well, one, getting that out, and we're working on the Corey Kenshin DLC right now, getting that out in the Super Dark to 7 chapters. So it just kind of unintentionally got kind of pushed to the side. But they will get up at some point. Okay. The name is Arwak through in SGD3. Thank you very much. Looking forward to Super Dark Deception. Well, thank you. I appreciate the donation. And you won't have to wait too long. So next month, Super Dark Deception will finally hit on PC and mobile. So 3 platforms will be able to play it. Steam, Epic, actually 4. Steam, Epic, Apple, and Google Play. So you'll have some options. It won't just be Steam. Zien threw in 5. Thank you, Zien. It says there's a bug with the Balathu ultimate. When he kills with it, the kill goes to other people. Oh, that's a crazy one. Okay, we'll look into that, and if it can be reproduced, we'll fix it. But thank you for letting me know. Let me see. UBF 13 threw in 2. Thank you, UBF. Can we see the new plushies? Yeah, sure. Let me pull them down, actually. Yeah. I was going to save them for later, but we can pull them out now. Alrighty. So, let me hold this up so you can actually see it. So this is our Dark Star plushie. Makeshift did a pretty good job on her. So we're gonna, this is just the prototype. So it's not the final one. Oh, and then her mic, little microphone is removable, so you can like take it off and just kind of put it back on however you want. Wait, was there an actual? Oh, it's right there. Okay, yeah, there is like a little Velcro strip so that it will stay. You can't just stick it anywhere on there. It's got to be on that little strip. And then we got this cool little guy, Puppet King. So yeah, that's both of them. Cool prototypes. He's even got his little cape. And there will be a couple more plushies for Chapter 5. These are just the first 2 we've done, since they're the new enemies. Justin Awesome threw in 5. Thank you, Justin. Says, will you make a 4th Dark Deception game combining the first 3 and their lore? Besides Lucky, will there be monsters that have the same powers as Doug in Chapter 5? Well, let me get through the first Dark Deception game first before we talk about the 4th. I haven't even gotten to the second one yet, and we only planned for 3. So I can't promise you there's going to be a 4th game, but if there is, I will try to include the lore of the first 3 in 84 years from now, if whoever's still around. As far as having the same powers as Doug in Chapter 5, not really. Everyone's pretty unique in Chapter 5. So, yeah, don't expect too many copycats. Justin Awesome threw another five. Okay, double contribution. Will the eye door be the final secret level? Will all the souls from Barely Buried be saved? Are the triggered tidies humanoid or are they some Chucky like doll? Well, I can't spoil anything for chapter 5 and tell where the secret level is. So I won't be able to answer that. Nor will I be able to answer about souls being saved from each of the levels. As far as the trigger teddies go, they are more doll than human. So they are living. They do wear the suit, and they look kind of like a burnt Chucky doll. They are organic, but they are uh, definitely not human, if that makes sense. And I haven't revealed what Mama Bear is under that suit. But you know, chapter five's coming, so maybe you'll get to see something. And Cook threw in two. Thank you, and Cook. Dark Deception, Monsters Immortals go to console. Oh, okay. You're asking if it's going to console. Yes, that is our plan to bring it to console this year. It's something we're already kind of discussing and working on, so hopefully soon. We'll see how long it takes. But I will make an announcement once I have something concrete. I'm not going to put something out there right now because, you know, setbacks happen, delays happen. I don't want to get your hopes up and then have a delay happen and you guys get upset. So once I have actual console builds that have been approved by the platforms themselves, by the first parties, then I'll make that announcement and be like, hey, you know, console versions are dropping, you know, this month. Go get it. It'll be like that. Justin Awesome threw another five. Thank you for your multiple contributions. How will the matron boss work in Super Dark Deception? In Super Dark Deception, will telepathy show the outlines or the cloud? Will Tammy appear in Holiday Horror and Prison Panic? Okay, well, I can answer the first two. The last one's a chapter 5 spoiler question. I can't tell where Tammy is going to appear. As far as the matron boss in Super Dark Deception, yeah. So if any of you have played a lot of 2D pixel games, I guess the most recent example I can give is the Ninja Turtles 2D game. What was it? Shredder's Revenge. They had a couple levels where it's like a chase. So there was one where you're chasing like Bebop and Rocksteady in a like a truck or something down a highway, and it's all side scrolling, side view. So it's going to be kind of like that kind of view. That's traditionally kind of the chase view in 2D games. So ours looks the same. It works really well in that perspective. So I think you'll like it a lot. And it's a very different experience from the 3D one. So that's that. And as far as telepathy in Super Dark Deception, it's a lot harder in 2D because all of the enemies are off screen. So we have a very unique system that we've cooked up for Super Dark Deception that works really well for 2D, and it does the job pretty well. So you'll see it. It's an arrow system that tracks them, so that you can always see where they are and where they're coming from, since the enemies are off screen. And this is not 3D, so you can't just like look ahead and see through a wall. It's like look to the left edge of the screen, right edge of the screen, top edge, bottom edge. So it works really well for Super Dark Deception. Justin Awesome threw in another five. Thank you again. Is the Chapter 5 demo still coming or is it canceled? If so, will we get a trailer or something in exchange? You kind of owe us from the game show. Okay, so no, Chapter 5 demo is not coming. And if so, will we get a trailer? No, we're not doing anything in exchange. We don't owe anybody. Sorry, guys. For the people using that kind of language towards us, that's just, I don't want to pop your expectations. That was something we kind of popped up at the last minute and it just didn't work out. And that's just kind of how things go sometimes. So, I mean, Chapter 5 is the game you guys want, not the demo, not a crippled demo. So if I showed you the demo, it's going to make some people happy, but it's going to make other people unhappy. And they're going to think that's the game. So I'm not going to tarnish the image of the game just to suit, you know, make a few people happy. And if that makes them angry at me, then I mean, so be it. We're here to make chapter 5, not a demo. So I'm sorry some of you guys are kind of pushy about that and kind of demanding it and kind of demanding something in exchange, but that's just not what we're going to do. So it's best just to let that go and move on. We're working on chapter 5, not a demo. So, and chapter 5 is not really something we can demo because everything is a spoiler. It's the end of the game. So we've got plenty of other stuff you can play. Super Dark Deception, Monsters and Mortals. You know, there's plenty to keep you happy until chapter 5 drops and you can see everything. Let's see, Zian Nee threw in 5. Thank you, Zian. Can we see Darkstar and Puppet King interactions? This will be interesting. I think in chapter 5, I mean, as I've seen all the enemies return in some fashion, I will say you get to see a lot of interactions. I can't specify which ones. Kind of like in chapter 4, you saw interactions between some characters like the Gold Watchers and the Reaper Nurses and Agatha and Malik. Like we continue that. I continue that very heavily in chapter 5. And it will really feel a lot more connected. The world that these creatures inhabit and Malik inhabits. Yeah, they're not just kind of operating independently. They're all fully aware of each other and they all kind of inhabit that world, that universe or that realm together. And that's kind of conveyed very well in chapter 5. Let's see. Grandom Rye. Ignoring the Grandom Rye threw in 5. Thank you, Grandom. Ignoring the violations of space and time that would occur, what would happen if Tammy and Agatha met each other prior to their respective deaths? Well, yeah, if you ignore the time period of when they each met their end, um, hopefully they would be friends. I mean, Agatha was not the same in the real world as she is in Malik's realm. She's very different from what she was when she was mortal. And you'll learn a lot more about Tammy in chapter 5 and her personality. It's a huge focus on Tammy and Doug's family in general. So I'll let you decide if they would have been friends. I don't want to like set anything in stone for you. I think they would have gotten along just fine. But I mean, you are free to make your own opinion on that based on what you see. Justin Awesome threw in 5. Thank you again. Will the mannequins run or crawl when giving chase? Will there be slippery ice and HH? Will we fight the other demons besides Malik in chapter 5? So as far as the mannequins running or crawling when giving chase, I can't really specify anything about their AI or their behavior. I've given away that they're fast. I won't tell you how they're fast. You'll have to see it for yourself when you play chapter 5, because that's the first level, so you'll see it pretty fast. As far as ice or anything like that, I can't really give away what the level looks like. You know it's a mall. So as to what the mall looks like, I think we're getting pretty close to being able to drop like an actual screenshot of chapter 5. I'm not sure which environment I'm going to show first. Probably something not too revealing in HH, more than likely. That's probably going to be the first one I show. As far as other demons besides Malik, I mean, that's another spoiler question. So anything with a story I can't reveal, sorry. I'm going to have to keep ducking that and dodging it. I know it'll get frustrating, but I just gotta, there's too much in chapter 5 that's, I don't, some of you are very good at theorizing. I don't want to give you any material because some of you guess really well. Once you have more details. I remember with chapter 4, I gave away too many details and some people guessed like the entire chapter almost in advance. So this time I'm being a little more cautious with the secrets. It's in credit to you, to the community. You guys are really good at theorizing. Autumn Azura threw in 2. Thank you, Autumn. Does Puppet King have posters of himself in the mall? Oh, yeah. I think that's been something that's kind of been present in a lot of the Dark Deception levels, is that the individual characters have kind of their own propaganda in their own level. So, you know, like Torment Therapy, the Reaper Nurses have their posters. Joy Joy Gang has theirs in Mascot Mayhem. Even the Murder Monkeys had paintings of themselves up. All the creatures are pretty narcissistic. They like to, deck out their environments with themselves. So, yeah, you can expect more of that from Puppet King and Dark Star and other characters in Chapter 5. Let me see. Well, this one doesn't have a name. Weird. Blank. I'll just call him John Doe through and two. Thank you. What is the trap of the Coma DLC? Oh, okay. So the trap of the Coma DLC, we actually haven't settled on that yet. So the DLC is still in development. We have the boss time set, but we haven't developed the trap time yet. So we're still actually working on that. So that's not a spoiler question. I'd be happy to tell you if we had that decided yet, but we haven't. So all we've done at this point is the characters, the boss time, and some of the environment, but we haven't gotten to the trap yet. So that's still part of the development. I'll share that once we have it, but it's not finalized yet. Justin Awesome through in 5 again. Thank you. How will the Goliath clown boss work in Super Dark Deception with the hammer? If there's not going to be 700, 800, or 1,000 shard streak, why is it in the code of the game? There's a lot of things in the code of the game that shouldn't be there. They're the legacy assets that just haven't been removed or cleaned up yet. The game doesn't pull them when it runs, so it's not actually an issue because it's not rendering them. So at one point we had 1,000 shards. It was way too much. It made the game tedious. And that was the feedback from fans as well. So if any of you out there are dreaming for 1,000 shard level, that's just not going to happen in Dark Deception 1. The popular consensus is, keeping the levels lighter with shards makes it more exciting and faster paced. And Dark Deception's all about a faster pace. So we don't want to bog it down with making you run around and collect 1,000 or 2,000 shards. That just drags out and slows down the gameplay. So yeah, at one point we were testing out higher shard counts, and that was we quickly noticed that it was not a good idea. So we kind of removed that and kept it lighter. We didn't want the focus was more on navigating the mazes and dealing with the enemies while collecting shards than just collecting an endless number of shards. And as far as the Goliath clown boss in Super Dark Deception, it works pretty much the same. It's just it's just a different perspective basically. The behavior thankfully works pretty well in 2D, so we didn't have to really change anything as far as the Goliath clown's AI. And it didn't require much of a different presentation. So we still have 4 of them. They still do all the same attacks and behaviors. It's just now it's in a 2D space. So you'll be kind of panning the screen and navigating around that circular area around the merry-go-round. And yeah, that'll be in Chapter 3. Let me see. Autumn Azor threw in another 2. What is Puppet King's relationship with Malik? Well, I mean, at this point, all I can say is that he's another one of Malik's minions, and he will be your obstacle in Holiday Horror. So that's really all I can say at this point. When you play Chapter 5, you'll uncover a little bit more about his relationship with Malik. Justin Awesome threw another 5. Will we see Doug's wife in Chapter 5? Is it possible to make the testing sequence in TT skippable? It takes 6 to 8 minutes to get through. The testing sequence is gameplay, so we can't skip that. It's not a cutscene. So they will have to play through that. Let me see. Doug's wife in Chapter 5. That's a spoiler, so I can't answer that one. Sorry. Let's see. Oh, we get another one from John Doe through another 5. Thank you again. Anonymous fan here. Okay. All right, we'll call you Anonymous fan. I'm not going to say John Doe anymore. Anonymous fan, thank you for the additional 5. Since Evil Nun Broken Mask finished development, can we see Evil Nun DLC? Well, Evil Nun Broken Mask wasn't finished by us. It was done by a different development team. So we separated from that project, and Keplerians worked with a different team to finish that. So Evil Nun DLC is canceled. Unless Keplerians comes back and works with us later to do an Evil Nun DLC, it's pretty much canceled at this point. I'm not ruling it out, but I would say it's highly unlikely at this point. Mr. Saturn threw in 10. Thank you, Mr. Saturn. Serious question, though. You mentioned a while back about making a trilogy on Dark Deception. Is that still planned? And if so, when can we, or what can we expect coming up? I'd love to see what you can come up with. Well, I mean, the trilogy is pretty far ahead. I mean, we're just now finishing chapter 5, and you see how long that's taking. Um, Dark Deception 2 is way bigger than Dark Deception 1. Chapter 5 is kind of a warm up for Dark Deception 2. Obviously, with Dark Deception 2, we'll have better resources and more people to work on that. And it's going to be our first Unreal Engine 5 Dark Deception game. Monsters and Mortals is a multiplayer game, so not really counting that one. Just as far as like the single player Dark Deception, that will be the first Dark Deception built in Unreal Engine 5. And we have very big ambitions for that one. So it's going to keep a lot of what's great about Dark Deception 1 and get rid of a lot of the stuff that didn't work well, that has bothered a lot of our fans. And we're just going to kind of keep improving and iterating game by game to make Dark Deception more and more playable to everybody. So you'll get... Oh, God, even that's a spoiler. I can't tell you that. I will say... I'm trying to figure out how I could say this without... Wait, no, okay, never mind. Sorry, I was going to say something to help you out, but I have to bail on it because it's a giveaway. I can't. Just wait for chapter 5. I'll put it that way. If you want to know more about what's coming. Loaf of Brie threw in 2. Thank you. Are there going to be any zones small as Barely Buried Zone 1? Afraid not. Chapter 5 gets pretty big, so that's probably the last small zone. Is Barely Buried Zone 1, which was intentional because we wanted it to look small in comparison to the caverns underneath it. So yeah, Dark Stars level's huge. So is Puppet Kings. I guess maybe Zone 2 in Holiday Horror could be considered a smaller zone. But that's only in comparison to Zone 1 and 3. It's still pretty big. Anonymous Fan threw in another 5. Thank you, Anonymous Fan. How many mannequin variants are there? I think I've answered this question previously, but just in case I didn't tell how many variants there were. I just said there's more than one. I can't like give a specific answer since that's kind of spoilery, but I can say there's more than 3. I'll put it that way. I'll leave it a little open-ended, but I'll say there's more than 3. And Cook threw in 5. When will Dark Deception, Monsters and Mortals be on console? Well, that's what I mentioned earlier. If you weren't here for that, basically we're working on that right now. So depending on the porting team that we're working with, because we're working with a partner on that to kind of free us up so we don't have to stop working on Super Dark Deception in Chapter 5. Depending on what their timeline is for Monsters and Mortals on console, it's going to be this year, assuming that it's doable, which it should be. So my guess would be that porting usually takes about anywhere from 3 to 5 months to get through the entire process. So I would expect a Monsters and Mortals on console sometime around July or August, probably. That's worst case scenario. I mean, if it gets out in 3 months or something of that nature, then it could be as early as May. But I would look towards more late July, August for Monsters and Mortals console ports. But I would assume definitely before Halloween. All right, Grandom Rye threw in 5. Thank you again for your multiple contributions. What was your inspiration for Doom Ducky, aka the boss with the best character design in all of Dark Deception? No contest. Well, I appreciate your love for Doom Ducky. He was... I'm trying to remember what the inspiration for him was. I mean, I was already working on Dread Ducky, which was just supposed to be a really terrible version of like a rubber ducky for a bathtub. And I think what kind of popped that into my head was the old Batman movie with Danny DeVito in it. He rode around in one of those things, and that's what kind of popped that into my head. And it was just trying to think of like a more horrible version of that. So, I look at, I read a lot of like Junji Ito and Berserk, like a lot of Japanese horror, and you see that element repeated on a lot of Japanese horror, like the multiple appendages. I think even yeah, there's a lot of creatures that have like multiple arms. So I was just kind of taking that trope and applying it to the dread ducky and just making it seem a little bit more grotesque. So that's kind of where that kind of came from. Automazor threw another two. Do we get weapons in chapter 5? I would say, kind of like in chapter 4, there's some special scenarios where you will get to use objects, particularly in like boss fights or encounters. So it's not in every level, but there are some more, just like there were in chapter 4 and chapter 3. You get to pick up the hammer to fight the clown Goliath, and then you got to use the syringe to fight Matron. So it's kind of like that. There will be more special case or special use scenarios in chapter 5, but not every level will have it. Zia Nee threw another 5. Is Darkstar that kind of individual who enjoy fast food and action video games? No, no, she's not. Unfortunately, she has her style and taste, and it's um, maybe the fast food, maybe the fast food, but nah, she wouldn't be. She's not much of a gamer. She does play games, but not the video game variety. Let's see, X Star YT threw in 5. Thank you. Hey Vince, Starry here. If you can estimate what percentage of chapter 5 is finished. Oh no, I knew somebody's gonna ask that. We'll just say 100%. Definitely 100%. We're just polishing. The polishing is indefinite. I know that's not the answer you want. That's what I got to give. I'm sorry. Xenosaurus. I'm sorry, butcher that name, but I'm just going to say it that way. Xenosaurus threw in 400 HUF. Thank you. Which is going to be the biggest map in chapter 5? The biggest map. I mean, hands down, it's going to be Malik's level. That's the biggest one in the entire chapter. I would even say that's like 1/3 of the game is his level. It's that big. Okay, Grandam Rye threw in 5. Follow-up question. Would the Doom Ducky be willing to cradle me and tuck me into bed? Sure, and then he will also fold you afterwards with his arms. He'll tuck you in and then fold you up like a pile of laundry. That's just kind of part of the service, if you don't mind that. He may also eat you. Unicat Ninjas threw in 5. Thank you, Unicat. Good to see you here. Red asks, will new power-ups for portal boxes be added in some way in Monsters and Mortals? Also, what's the difference between Fungirl and Dako's Glitch? Fungirls is just visual. So Fungirls is just simply there because that's what Yandere Simulator had. Fungirl kind of glitches the view in that game, so we had to kind of put that in to stay accurate to the source material. So that's kind of why she has it. As far as new power-ups being added to the portal boxes, yeah, that's possible. It's something we've already kind of discussed. We actually have a few design additions that we just haven't integrated into Monsters and Mortals yet. So I've mentioned in the past that we had 2 new game modes and a couple other things. So additional counter items might be something that we could add to the box. That's kind of what I mentioned to a previous comment from one of the members. So that's always possible. Oh, we have another anonymous fan threw in IDR 10,000. Thank you. I guess that's just a donation. If you forgot to add your question, then ask, maybe somebody else can help you out, or you can drop it in the chat and I'll answer it. But thank you for the donation. Autumn Azora threw in 2. Thank you, Autumn. Is info on the Mecha Monkey a spoiler? Is there? Yes, that is a spoiler. I cannot talk about Mecha Monkey other than there is Mecha Monkey. And sorry, I'm choking now. You will get to see Mecha Monkey in Chapter 5, although I can't give any context. See, Biggie 007 Productions through in 5. Will the Monsters and Mortals OST ever be released to Spotify? I will enjoy Doom and Despair. Oh, yeah. Actually, that's one I've been kind of overlooking for a while. So, yeah, we probably will release the entire Monsters and Mortals soundtrack the same way we released the Dark Deception one. And at some point, we will do Chapter Five's mini album also. So yeah, we're kind of overdue to add some new music to all of the markets. Like we use CD Baby, which kind of publishes all the music for us, including Spotify. So that's why Dark Deception's on there. Let's see, Justin Awesome threw in 5. Could Batum and Batter get? Oh, okay. Sorry. Could Bendy and the Ink Machine and Bendy and the Dark Revival get added to Monsters and Mortals at some point since you guys made a track for it? Also, does Agatha see Mama Bear as a mom or Reaper nurse? So as far as Bendy goes, I've been asked that many times, and it's kind of like a not at this moment, but not saying no thing. Right now, the Bendy team's doing their thing, and we're doing ours. We haven't really talked about the DLC for Monsters and Mortals. If they have free time and they pop up and that's of interest to them, they can always, contact me and we'll talk about it. But right now we're both kind of doing our own thing. So it's, yeah, that track exists, but it's just kind of like a little bonus thing. As far as Mama Bear, let's see, Agatha see Mama Bear as a mom or Reaper nurses. She sees them more as friends. So Agatha's not really she's got a special relationship with Malik for an obvious reason. Everyone else is more of a friend to her. She values her friends. So Mama Bear and Reaper Nurse would be friends. She doesn't really see as anyone as above her. They're all kind of her equals. Maybe she sees herself as above some of them. Automazor threw in another 2. How do you make monster sounds in your game? Well, it varies. I mean, sometimes we make our own monster sounds, and really that's just kind of mixing a lot of elements together and adding reverb and some things, some like little bells and whistles to it. So we've done things like combine different animal sounds and like just tweak them with amplifying them or like pitch shifting them, kind of chopping them up and mixing them together, adding in kind of extra little effects post. That's I've made every sound in the game just using the free application Audacity. So you don't even need like really powerful editing software to do that. If any of you guys are aspiring sound designers, you can use whichever sound application you want. I use Audacity, but yeah, it's pretty fun and easy to do. Anybody can do it. So go ahead and just rip a bunch of sounds. You can go record your own. If you can go out and record some interesting noises or fake noises, like you can Foley a lot of stuff. Like I know people use apples to do like biting noises, even though it reads a little bit too much like an apple, or like ground meat to make like gore noises. Yeah, try your hand. See what you can come up with. Unicant Ingest threw in another 5. She got another question from Red. What was the inspiration for Barely Buried Zone 3 and the idea of Trigger Teddies being bombs? How is it possible for Dark Deception to have ARG puzzles as teasers? Let me see. So, inspiration for Barry. It's already getting late. It's like past one. I'm starting to lose my ability to speak. Barely Buried Zone 3. So the one of the inspirations for Barely Buried was the movie Descent, because I wanted it to be based with bears, and I wanted to be in nature. So there was the idea of the cabin, like this evil cabin that has like a kind of a hive under it or colony that's run by this matriarch, being Mama Bear and her children, and that they would primarily dwell under the ground, which was kind of like the theme of Descent, was these creatures that lived deep under the earth in these caverns. So we wanted to have kind of a similar feel to that, but obviously not as violent. You know, there's no blood pools or gore or decapitation like in that movie. Obviously, it's more all ages appropriate. So, as far as the Trigger Teddies being bombs, I think subconsciously maybe Bomberman kind of inspired me a little bit. It wasn't like a direct thought, but I think thinking back, like maybe that kind of contributed unintentionally to that idea. And as far as having ARG puzzles as teasers, I haven't thought about that. It's not something I have planned yet. I can look into it and see if, like, maybe down the road there's something that makes sense to make use of that. But right now, I don't have anything planned. Justin Awesome threw in another 5. Thank you again, Justin. Will Doug take Malik's place in the bad ending? Will previous monsters appear in Holiday Horror or Prison Panic? And is the ring big or small ones fixed? It says, well, as far as the bad ending goes, I can't tell you what the bad endings are. You're going to have to find that out yourself. And there's a couple bad endings. They're fun. I think you'll enjoy them. I think every ending in Chapter 5 is worth seeing. So, and then there will be an achievement to see all endings. So you will have to see them all if you want to get like 100%. And as far as previous monsters, I can't tell you which levels they're going to appear in. That's a spoiler. Will the ring be big or small once fixed? I mean, it fits on the fingers, so it's like a normal size ring. It's small. It's not going to be like a gigantic thing they carry and run after Malik to beat him with it. So no, it'll be a it'll be a normal ring. So don't worry. All right, let me see. Did I lose my place? I did. Oh, Fish. Okay, Fish threw in 10. Thank you, Fish. Hey, Vince, I noticed there were 8 icons at Bierce's ring altar in the Super Dark Deception demo. Is it true that we'll be getting 2 more powers? If so, can you tell us what they are? Well, yes, I can tell you, yes, there are 2 more powers coming in Chapter 5. And I cannot tell you what they are yet. So, but yes, that was accurate. Chapter 5 will have a total of 8 powers. Justin Awesome threw another 5. Will we ever get to see the Joy Joy gang do their dance with Hangry in it? It was a shame he wasn't a part of it when Lucky and Penny did it. Yeah, Hangry kind of got left out. He was kind of being a loner at that point in the game because he really wanted to kind of do his own little intro down in Zone 2. We did add a few more things to the Mascot Mayhem that I think people will enjoy. There were some questions that made a lot of sense from fans, things that were kind of overlooked that shouldn't have been. And it adds, I think, more. Well, I mean, the Joy Joy gang already showed a lot of their character in that chapter, but it feels like they could have shown so much more. So we wanted to fill in, not every hole, but like a few of them, just to kind of make it a lot more fun and kind of add another layer to those cutscenes in the level. So you'll get to see them in Super Dark Deception first. So you'll see a 2D version of it. But so I don't mind that because it's already a released chapter. It's not a big deal if you guys see it in Super Dark Deception first when Chapter 4 comes out. And people wondering when Super Dark Deception Chapter 4 is going to come out, that's probably going to be, my guess would be between, we're targeting like March and April for chapters 1 and 2, 3 and 4. I would guess 4 might be more in like May. So you're not going to have to wait too long to see it. Let me see. Grandom Rye threw in another 5. Thank you again, Grandom. Any particular reason why you decided to make Huggy Wuggy the only killable boss in Monsters and Mortals? Actually, he's not. You can kill the vampires in House of Ashes too, but it's kind of pointless because they come back almost immediately. So it's kind of a futile effort. It's just a lot of fans asked us to be able to kill the bosses because eventually we made all the bosses just invincible. Like you could not hurt them at all. But I mean, if you're going to die, if they're killing you and there's no escape, it's kind of fun to beat on them a little bit and feel like you got something, some kind of payback. I think that's what a lot of fans were looking for, just to have that feedback of being able to hit them. Just, I mean, even though it's pointless, it's kind of satisfying to be able to beat on like Pyramid Head or Huggy Wuggy. Even if it just knocks them down for a second, it's just like a little bit of a thrill. So, yeah, we felt like some of the bosses should be defeatable, even though it's futile and they come back. At least you can feel like you won for a couple seconds. I mean, they're only there for a minute anyway. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5, and she has one from another user, Impastor. Says, is Darkstar the only character in Dark Deception to have motion capture animation, or has that changed? As of now, Darkstar is the only character to have, the only enemy character to have motion capture animation. We do have some motion capture animation for Doug as well, for some scenes. But that's it. I think motion capture, we were just testing it out this time because it's something we don't have a lot of experience using in our games. We've always kind of hand animated everything. So we wanted to see if we could kind of integrate that into our pipeline and it would look good and maybe make the game look better. And I think it did a really good job. And it is a lot of work, though, to clean up motion capture. So we're going to use it in Dark Deception 2 a little bit more. I still think we'll hand animate a lot of stuff. But we will slowly start to use it more and more often, as long as we can make it look better than hand animation. Let's see. Sea Tiger Gaming says, what about Trap Time OST of House of Ashes DLC? Oh, okay. Somebody asked that already. Yeah, that's coming. I'll put that up soon. Zia Nee threw another 5. Thank you again. How many levels in Chapter 5? Also, is Darkstar like Kane, Amazing Digital Circus, and Fozzie Bear when she hosts show? Okay. I'll admit, I did watch Amazing Digital Circus, the first episode. I haven't watched it since then, so I think I don't remember which character Kane is. I'm sorry. Sorry to all the Amazing Digital Circus fans. But as far as how many levels are in Chapter 5, I think I've previously stated there were 5 on Twitter. Darkstar, I don't know who to compare her to. But you'll see her personality when you play the game. It's very different from all the other enemies. We'll put it that way. Adamazura threw in 2. Thank you very much again. Is the Unknown Monsters Spider Pig Cop from Scrap? No, it's not Spider Pig Cop. Although I feel like I should slip Spider Pig Cop in there just for fun somewhere, just in a secret room. Or maybe I'll have, if anyone's running like an Unreal hack, Spider Pig Cop will come out as an invincible boss and just kill you right away, no matter what you do. That'd be fun. Like a troll for cheaters. Something like that. Unicat Ninjas threw in 5. Thank you again. And Pastor asks, how much screen time does Puppet King have in his level? Would you say his screen time and presence is similar to Mama Bear? Can't answer that spoiler question, but he gets enough screen time. We'll put it that way. You're not gonna feel like he's like you don't know him by the end of the level. And then we have a follow-up from Unicat, another 5. Thank you again. And it's also for Impastor. And he asks, what zones from Holiday Horror and Prison Panic are you planning on adding in Monster Immortals? I can't promise any levels from Chapter 5. I mean, we haven't even delivered the Chapter 4 levels yet, so we got to get through those first. So I'm not going to commit to any Chapter 5 levels because they're really big. And I'm not even sure how to make them work in Monsters Immortals, some of them, because they're kind of surreal. We'll see. I mean, maybe there will be time for one. If we put Monsters Immortals out on console and it does well, then we can talk about We'll look at Chapter 5 levels, adding it to the Dark Deception or to the base game. Mr. Mister threw in 10. Thank you, Mr. Mister. It says, can Doug canonically wield the ring pieces power like Bierce can? Example, being how Bierce could sling soul shards at Malik or telekinetically pick him up during battle in the ballroom in Chapter 4. They each kind of wield the ring pieces power differently. So Bierce can give Doug powers from the ring. She can also use those powers herself, but she has kind of her own powers as well. And there's a reason for that, which I cannot elaborate on yet. But you'll see more of what Bierce can do in Chapter 5. Let's see. Automazora threw another 2. Have any of your monsters ever given you nightmares? Yeah, but actually the monsters that have given me nightmares aren't ones in Dark Deception. Although the murder monkeys originally were kind of a nightmare creature for me. The ones that actually like would appear in my nightmares are far more like mature horror stuff that's still sitting on the shelf that I haven't put into a game yet. So those ones are much more disturbing, not appropriate for Dark Deception. They'd be better in like a Silent Hill game or something. So I haven't shared those yet. A lot of my monster designs are still kind of waiting for their own game. UBF 13 through in 5. Thank you. Because of the name Don't Look Down, is there going to be a zone in Prison Panic that's in the air? That one's not actually a spoiler. I can say yes because I've shared the art of Prison Panic where you see a cage suspended over a black void. So that track is for that segment of the level. So that's why it says don't look down. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5. Now she has a question from Marshall. Marshall asks, what is the largest zone in Holiday Horror? Also, will Chapter 5 levels after Malik's level be shown in trailers, or will they be 100% secret? Well, when we get to the launch trailer, obviously I don't want to do what a lot of the trailers do, which is show too much. I'll show a lot of stuff, but in short clips to kind of keep it more exciting and not too spoilery. I don't want the trailer to give everything away. But as far as like the largest zone in Holiday Horror, I mean, they're all pretty large. I can't really pick one and say that's the largest one. I mean, it's a huge mall. It's going to be big in all the zones. Mr. Saturn threw in 5. Thank you, Mr. Saturn. Out of curiosity, when Papa King speaks, does the mouth of the mask move like Mama Bear's costume, or is that spoiler territory? I think somebody already asked me that in a previous Q&A live stream, and I answered it. So I said his mouth does move. It's not static. So you're not going to see his mouth like frozen and then the voice coming out. He will actually speak and move. UBF 13 through in 5. Thank you, UBF, again. Can you touch more on the cutscene updates, and will Torment Therapy get one? So I assume you're talking about Chapter 4, since you're mentioning Torment Therapy. So the cutscene updates are just adding more scenes to each level. Torment Therapy, I'm trying to think if we're adding anything to that. No, I don't think we're adding anything to Torment Therapy. It's primarily Mascot Mayhem that we're adding more to. I think Barely Buried might have one. But primarily it's all in Mascot Mayhem. Let's see. Automazor threw another 2. Thank you again. If you could have a Chapter 5 bodyguard, who? Oh, if I had a bodyguard, it would definitely be Darkstar. No question. Let's see. Alp threw in 2001. Thank you, Alp. Are Hall of Reflection and Road to Ruin roaming OSTs? Hall of Reflection and Road to Ruin. Oh, well, I won't say they're roaming, but I will say they are gameplay. So they are... Well, no. I won't say they're both roaming. One of them is. me see. Big EE, let's see. Big E007 Productions asks, what can you say about Dark Deception on mobile? Oh, sorry, I'm getting a little brain fog from the medicine. Uh, Dark Deception is coming to mobile. We actually have some playable builds already. So yes, that is planned. It's not just Super Dark Deception. We are going to bring Dark Deception, all 5 chapters, to mobile. So you will be able to play it on both Android and Apple. No worries. Adamazura threw in another 2. Are Chapter 5 monsters turning into something scarier? Well, I did say they will give it their all in Chapter 5, and you may see them reveal another, kind of evolve in some way into another form. So you could say that's something scarier, yes. Unicant Ingest threw in another 5. An anonymous person asks, when will the Puppet King and Darkstar plushies come out? Oh, clever. Trying to use the plushies to find out the Chapter 5 date. Well, I would have to say unknown at this time. They're just going to sit on the shelf for a little while until Chapter 5 is ready, and then they will kind of come out probably pretty close to that. So when you see Chapter 5 plushies up for sale, you'll know Chapter 5 is not too far away. But I think by that point, you're already going to see like a coming soon for the trailer. Whoops. Sorry, I lost my spot. 1 second. Okay. Automazor threw in 2. Thank you, Automazor, again. Do you recommend college before making a 2D game? Oh, I mean, if you're at... no, I mean, you don't really need college to do any type of game development. Regardless of your age, no matter what age you are, even if you're at the age to go to school or to go to pursue a secondary education, you don't need that to make a game. You can learn everything you need to know online. So, I mean, just watch some YouTube tutorials or take a... there's a lot of like knowledge depots, things like Gnomon and digital tutors. I know there's a lot of other various sites, masters. What's that called? They have like master classes that you can take online. You just pay like a small fee and you watch their tutorial videos. You can fill in a lot of knowledge gaps that way to learn how to make your own game. There's some game engines that are really good that you don't even know how to program. You just need to know how to do like a code node network. Like it's like the code's already set up into a bunch of nodes and you just have to put them together in a network. Basically kind of like Unreal Engine's blueprints. So, you know, not knowing how to code isn't the obstacle that it used to be. Some people are even using AI to program their games now. So there's so many tools available, so much knowledge available. You don't need college to make a 2D game, especially even for a 3D game. You can kind of do it yourself now using templates and different things to get yourself started, just to get your feet wet. So hopefully you have a talent in something like art or programming or music, at least one discipline that you can kind of handle yourself and pick the others up as you go, just to get things started. Let's see. Anonymous fan threw in another 5. What map will the Piggy DLC have? Actually, I'm still discussing that with Minitunes, so we haven't decided on the map. We have kind of narrowed it down to 4 of the most popular maps in Piggy. I think the one I liked was like the military base, and they had like a submarine base that looked pretty cool. There's obviously, like, we're not going to leave them looking like Roblox levels. So we are going to make these look very realistic. So it will look nothing like the Roblox Piggy. And that's kind of what Minitune wants also. So we haven't decided on the map yet. Horrifically Fun Gaming threw in 5. Thank you. Says, will we get an extended demo for Dark Deception on PlayStation? Let me think. Oh no, that was only for Super Dark Deception. And that was because primarily due to the fact that we're releasing Super Dark Deception in chapters on mobile and PC. And due to the nature of consoles, we can't do that. The console version has to be a complete game. So we released an extended demo just to give like an extra level for those people who are waiting on consoles so they wouldn't be bored watching, everybody play chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4 on PC and mobile. I mean, they can always go get it on those too, but just in case they are like, oh, I only want to play it on Switch, then at least they have 2 levels to keep them entertained while they wait for the complete game to drop. But yeah, so it's not going to happen with the normal Dark Deception. MVE threw in 50,000 IDR. Thank you, MVE. Why did you choose? Oh, sorry. Why did you only choose Darkstar to be animated with motion capture? I can't go into that. It's part of the answer would spoil things, but it's like there was some animation that we just was way too time consuming to hand animate. We wanted to test out motion capture to see if it would work for us. So it seemed like a good fit for her level. That was why we specifically targeted her. We could have done it for other levels too. It just wouldn't have been as effective. So we chose her instead. Zia Nee threw in 5. Thank you, Zia Nee. How hard is it? Or sorry, how hard is Chapter 5 with 2 new powers? Will it be too easy? No, it will not be too easy. Trust me. In fact, I look forward to all the bad reviews that we're going to get because people complain it's too hard and ask me to lower the difficulty. I get that every chapter. Let's see. Alp threw in 2001. Will Dark Deception 2 be released in chapter format like Dark Deception 1? Yeah, that is the plan. I'm not sure if we're going to change that to like a full game like Bendy did, where they jumped from episodic to a complete game. Obviously, that creates a huge time gap. So probably we will still release it as an episodic game just because that's more exciting and it gives you something to talk about. And I always like that kind of episodic format. It's kind of like a TV show. So we'll probably do that. We're just going to be smarter about it this time with the way we, complete it and release it. So we've learned some hard lessons from the first Dark Deception game that we want to fix with Dark Deception 2 when we plan the schedule for releasing those episodes, those chapters. See, Pro Gamer threw in €2. Thank you, Pro Gamer. What's Darkstar's favorite music style? Can't really say. That's a little bit of a spoiler, so sorry to leave you hanging there, but thank you for the donation. Unicat Ninjas threw in 5. Possession Wind asks, are we still getting Lucky Ryan nerf, new game modes, and Christmas skins, as you promised back in 2022? Yeah, I mean, me saying that we're going to do something isn't a promise. It's just saying we're going to do it. It doesn't have like a timestamp on it. So we have other obligations to our partners to finish the DLCs. I've always said those will come first. And when they were done, we would go back to the base game, and then we would look at things like balance. Remember, we are not a 300-person company. We are 3 people. If you count 4, 3 people working on the development. Dan works on music, so Dan can't go through and do like a balance pass. So things take a bit longer with us as a result. So yeah, we can say we're going to get to everything, and we will eventually. But I can't promise you it's going to be tomorrow or next week or next month. We have other games to get out. And as soon as we get their obligations fulfilled, we get the Super Dark Deception out, and we get Chapter 5 done. Then we can go back and look at all the requests from Monsters and Mortals. But right now, Monsters and Mortals is our smallest community out of the 3 games. So we have to cater to the Dark Deception community because they're the biggest and they're the loudest. So Chapter 5's got to get finished. So Monsters and Mortals has gotten plenty of love from us the past few months. We've got it caught up finally. And we will do a lot more for Monsters and Mortals, but it's their turn to kind of take a pause while we finish up the other games. So I would tell the Monsters and Mortals community, we've got the Corey Kenshin DLC coming and the Coma at some point later in 2024. but it's not going to be like a continuous, like every month type of thing. There will be pauses as we have to shift our focus because we are a tiny team. But yeah, we will address all of those things eventually as we go. Just kind of keep being patient with us. Joy Joy Lucky threw in £5. Thank you, Joy Joy. Maze Escape sometimes bugs and has more than 2 monsters, making it very unbalanced, unfair to the mortals. Any chance this can get fixed? More than 2 monsters. Yeah, we can look into that. I think sometimes that happens because people are using hacks and using cheats. It happens a lot in Monsters and Mortals, and there's not much we can do to block that. Anything that's happening due to the code should be reproducible, and if we find it, then we'll fix it. But if it doesn't pop up for us, and after we run hundreds of tests, then it's a good chance that somebody's messing with it, messing with your game, and that's why stuff like that's happening. Let me see. Unicat Ninjas, Trigger Teddy, Easy Plead, go boom. She threw in 2. Thank you, Unicat. Let's see. Anonymous Fan threw in another 5. How many unrevealed Monsters and Mortals DLCs are there? Unrevealed, none right now. So we've revealed everything up to this point. We have some more potential DLCs coming. I'm not sure when I'm going to announce that because I don't want to announce too many in advance. We'll probably let them just kind of sit on the shelf until we get through phase 3 because we've got 3 DLCs that are not released yet with Piggy, Doors, and the Coma. And Doors is a really big one. So we want to get those first. We don't want to take attention away from those because those have a lot of fans behind them. So we're going to focus on that. After we get those out, then I might start to drop like new Challenger videos and reveal like potential new DLCs. And obviously the better Monsters and Mortals does, we get it out on consoles. Maybe we'll get some more exciting DLCs in the future, more AAA stuff. We'll see. Automazura threw another 2. Do most of the unseen enemies come from PP or Prison Panic? Unseen enemies. Oh no, I mean they come from the entire chapter 5. There's tons of stuff you have not seen. I've been keeping a very tight lid on chapter 5. Even if that makes people kind of drift off, I'm not going to spoil anything. So yeah, there's a lot of unseen stuff from chapter 5 that I haven't revealed yet. Grandom Rye threw in 5 again. Thank you, Grandom. Excluding human characters like Doug, Elise, Tammy, Beers, etc., which Dark Deception monster would you say is the most emotionally insecure? Emotionally insecure. I would guess it's Penny. She's probably the most needy out of all the characters. I mean, all the others kind of do their own thing, but Penny constantly needs attention. And she seeks it from Lucky, but she also seeks it from others. So the neediest, emotionally insecure character, I would say, is Penny the Chicken. Sorry, Penny. Yeah. Pro Gamer threw in 5 euros. Thank you, Pro Gamer. Which zones from Holiday Horror and Prison Panic are you thinking on adding to Monsters and Mortals when you start adding the Chapter 5 maps in the future? Well, like I said, I haven't committed to anything from Chapter 5. I think the levels from Chapter 4 are pretty awesome, especially Joy Joy Land. So we want to get those in first, and those are going to take a lot of time by themselves. I mean, those are full levels. So right now, my guess would be Holiday Horror. It seems the best suited to be a Monsters and Mortals level, just with its layout. Prison Panic's kind of a, we'll see. Crash threw in 5. Thank you, Crash. Thoughts on a Dark Deception modding server? Do you approve? Well, I can't officially host or sponsor anything with modding because a lot of the modders are using copyrighted property. So if we were to do that, that would make us legally liable and we would get sued by these companies. So if somebody's making a Bindi mod without permission or using a Resident Evil mod without permission, we can't officially promote that or sponsor it simply because that's copyright infringement. As a free mod for a modding community, it's fine. But the company itself, like Glowstick Entertainment, can't be the one officially hosting that. That would have to be in the hands of fans. So if any fan wants to do that, yeah, I mean, other communities have done it. Like FNF does it. I'm sure FNAF also has it. So yeah, I mean, go for it. It's just Glowstick Entertainment can't officially do that. Let's see. And if we did do it, I guess we could do like a modding channel, but we'd have to ban anything that's copyrighted. So I think that would put a lot of stress on our mods to moderate that to make sure people aren't dropping copyrighted assets into that channel. We'd have to lock everything down, which would kind of take the fun away from it. Unicat Ingest threw in another 5. Now she's got Gaming Scrooge. So he asks, will every Chapter 5 level have 3 zones? Will all zones in HH have multiple floors? Well, the first one I can answer, yes, every level in Chapter 5 has 3 zones. And will all zones have multiple floors? I can't answer that one. You've seen Zone 1 has multiple floors. The other 2 zones, you'll just have to find out when the game releases. Let's see, Automazor threw another 2. Number of enemies are there, or sorry, what number of enemies are there in Prison Panic in comparison to HH? Holiday Horror. I can't specify or give you a specific number. I can just tell you both levels have multiple enemies. It's not just one. Let's see. Kataro Kujo threw in 50 sec, and he says, hello, Vincent. I've been a fan since 2014. I was wondering if there's any more unused or scrap stuff that has not been shared from chapters 1 through 4. No, I think I've shared everything for chapters 1 through 4. There's a lot of stuff for chapter 5. I mean, I'll have to wait and see how much of it goes unused, but I think after chapter 5, I'll have some more kind of, cutting room floor type stuff to share. If you enjoy that. Kelvin1228 threw in 10 Hong Kong. Thank you. Long time no see. Do we have Red Stalker plushies? Not yet, but we were talking about that. It's just, I think the first prototype didn't come out too good, so we're working on a different approach. But yeah, I think if fans want a Red Stalker plushie, we can always make one. Although I feel like the Red Stalkers would be really cool as like a vinyl figure. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I know plushies are more popular, but I still am a sucker for vinyl figures. Virtual Man threw in 5. Thank you. In Holiday Horror, will there be any anti-monster energy Easter eggs? Example, finding boxes full of Monster Energy drinks in dumpsters or trash cans. We could do something like that. That would be funny. If I want to poke the bear again, I don't know if I want to. But I mean, that would actually just kind of be free advertising for them. So maybe not. Don't want to help them out. Let's see, Judah Nader. Okay, Judah Nader says, do you think there could be quality and performance mode for Dark Deception or Monster Mortals on the current gen consoles, like a 60 frames per second quality mode, then 120 frames per second performance mode? Yeah, we've seen that in several games where they have a quality mode and performance mode, and we'll probably do something similar. At the very least, that's probably the best you can hope for on modern consoles. Let's see, Unicat Ingest threw in 10, and she's got a question from Possession Wind, who asks, will we get more Monsters Immortal skin plushies like orange, red, green, Reaper Nurse, etc.? Also, can you share on Twitter how Christmas plushies will look or reveal how many there are? Sorry, I'm trying to interpret this one a little bit. So, do you want Monsters Immortal skins or plushies of the skins? So you would like a orange, red, green Reaper Nurse. And then I'm not sure what the Christmas plushies are, unless you're talking about the Christmas skins. So yeah, I mean, we can do plushies of any character, any skin. I mean, we did Skeleton Clown Gremlin, which is a Monsters Immortal skin, as long as there's enough interest to sell it. So the last couple plushies didn't sell that well. They only sold like a couple hundred. 200 is like the bare minimum. If it doesn't get 200, then the campaign fails. And that number actually used to be 400. They lowered it so more people could pass. But their expectation is still kind of like 400. So if we can't get enough people interested to sell at least 400, then Makeship will kind of lose interest in doing them. So the Monsters and Mortals one sold like between 200, 300. So it was very kind of low interest. And that makes sense because Monster and Mortals has a smaller fan base. And also, it's taking a while for like chapter 4 and chapter 5 when we did those. So I think if we release plushies closer to like the release date of a game, it will obviously generate more interest and more hype. So we can get, Dark Deception plushies used to sell like 600 to 1300 plushies. It was really easy to clear that minimum. But now it's a little harder because it's more spaced out. It's like colder product right now because we haven't put a chapter out in a while. So we have to wait until there's more interest. So I don't want to keep cranking out plushies because it's just the numbers dwindle over time. So we'll wait until we have a lot of hype and a lot of excitement for a new chapter or a new DLC or something, and then we'll put out like a big plushie. That's why Dark Star is not out right now on Puppy King, because we want to release them at the right time. Autumn Azora threw in 2, but retracted the message. But thank you again for your multiple donations. Shadow X Acno threw in 2 and said, "Is it true that Chapter 5 will have puzzles?" Yes, Chapter 5 will have puzzles. Not Resident Evil style puzzles, but it will have its own version of puzzles. So yeah, Dark Deception has puzzles now. Let's see. At the Speed Beyond Light threw in 5 Canadian. Thank you for your donation. It says, "I'm sorry if you're not comfortable answering this." It says, "What happened when you tweeted, 'Be careful about the people you surround yourself with in life'?" Oh, I remember that. I think that was last year, towards the end of the year. So if that was just kind of like some life advice. So one thing you'll find out when you work in business or any industry is you're going to work with people you like, and you're going to work with people that you don't like, and you're going to work with people that are kind of in between. And when you work in the industry, you can't really turn your back on people or burn bridges or kind of give people an attitude. I know a lot of times there's this popular message to be confrontational and to kind of assert yourself. And sometimes there's a time and a place for that. But in general, I like to try to be diplomatic and make things work, even if it's somebody that you have difficulty with or you are at odds with. But every now and then, you have to work with somebody who does something to you or betrays you in some way, but you still got to work with them. And that was kind of a scenario I ran into kind of a while back, and I was kind of referring to that. But I think that advice was just in general, because I don't think it's just for your career or like working in the industry. I think that kind of applies to all stages of your life. Just be careful who you surround yourself. I mean, make sure you put people around you that have your best interest at heart, that care about you, because you're always going to have people around you that don't. That's pretty easy to get people around you that don't care. And they're pretty good at making you think they care. It's just they'll always kind of give you a sign at some point that they don't. And that's not something that's abnormal. It's not specific to me or to anyone else. It's just that's life, right? It's very easy to find people that don't care versus people that care. So it's just, you hear that advice from celebrities and athletes and stuff a lot. They always phrase it differently. They'll say, like, keep your circle small and close. It's kind of like that. Find who your real friends are and kind of keep them in that circle with you. You don't need 20, 30, 40 people to feel special. You just need like 2 or 3 people that really, actually care about you and are easy to work with, or whatever the situation is, whether it's family or work. If it's work, you want to find people that are easy to work with, have kind of the same goals as you, that kind of thing. The details change, but it's the same message. So that's what that was kind of referring to. Just some general advice. Unicat Ninjas threw in 5 again. Thank you. And she has another one from Session Wind. Oh, it's just a clarification of the previous one. Meant to say Christmas skins, not plushies. Okay, so you want more Christmas skins in Monsters and Mortals. So yeah, that kind of goes hand in hand with the additional levels and improving the base game, like adding more content to the base game. We would like to do another skin pack. We haven't done one in a while. We did like Halloween and the Christmas skins from years ago. And it would be really cool to do something different. Like, not another, I mean, we could do another Christmas skins pack, but it may be cool to add some more variety, do something a bit different, maybe a different holiday or even just a event. So we'll see. I mean, at some point later in the year, once we have Super Dark Deception out and we're in a good place with Chapter 5, then we can kind of jump back into Monsters and Mortals and get some extra content added to keep everyone happy. I think right now our priority is to get Monsters and Mortals to consoles, to expand the player base so that we have a shot to bring in, you know, some other cool DLCs. Let me see. Thingy Majig threw in £5. Thank you, Thingy. Hi, Vince. Me and my mate emailed you a build of our high quality fan game we've been making for 2 years. If you check it out, we'd appreciate it. Sure. I assume you sent it to contact at Glowstick Entertainment, or maybe you sent it to partnerships. I'll admit, if you sent it to contact, it probably got buried in there. I mean, I can search it if it's under your name Thingy, but if you're using like a different email handle, something that's hard to connect, then you might want to send it to partnerships at glowstickentertainment.com, which is for publishing games, publishing partnerships. That'll make it easier for me to see it there. And just for everyone listening, that's only for games. Do not try to email me there. If anyone emails me just normal stuff, I will have to block it from that email. It's not like to be mean or anything. I have to keep that clear so that I can see games, because that's what that email address is for. It's for game submissions. Let's see, District D threw in 55. Thank you, District D. Says, will there be new voiceover languages in the original game? I can recommend Indie Records Production Studio for Russian dubs. You can contact them. They're amazing. For Dark Deception 1, unfortunately, we can't do additional languages for voiceovers. It's only subtitles. That's just because of our team size, our limitations. Hopefully, maybe with Dark Deception 2, we'll have more resources to throw in some additional localization for voice acting. I'm not sure which ones we would do, but it would probably be just kind of the key languages. But for now, it's just going to be subtitles. So sorry about that. I'm sure they do awesome, amazing Russian dubs. I know we've gotten a lot of requests for Japanese and Chinese as well. But for now, all we can do is English voice. And then more language support for subtitles. Okay, Unicat Ninjas threw in 5. Thank you, Unicat, again. M&M Server asks, which Monsters and Mortal mods are you looking forward to? Well, I mean, the ones I've seen are the ones that were in the holiday video. So if there's any new ones that are upcoming, I don't know about them yet. So it'd be great if anybody knows about any Monsters and Mortals mods that are interesting, just kind of like tag me on them on Twitter so I can catch them that way. That's probably like the fastest way for me to catch it. Because if you send it an email, I may see it, but it gets buried pretty often. I get a lot of emails each day, especially to contact. That's not saying it will be lost in there. It's just saying it's less likely that I see it soon. So I know there's a lot of fan games that I'm excited about that I've seen coming up, but they're mostly not Monsters and Mortals mods. They're based more for like spin-offs of the Dark Deception game, or they are takes on Chapter 5. I think the only new Monsters and Mortal mods I've seen have been just character add-ons, like people making their own original character and adding it to Monsters and Mortals. I haven't seen anyone do like a really, I don't know, like a really unique mod for Monsters and Mortals that adds something really creative to it. Most of what I see is just adding new characters, or I mean, I like the stuff I've seen in the past where they do like a crossover with like Bendy or FNAF. Those are always interesting. But I would really love to see somebody do something that's original and unique. Like they could even do maybe their own original level, or um, I don't think I've seen anybody do an original level. They always do kind of a crossover with a known brand like Bendy or FNAF. But if they could do that and do their own interesting level, that would be fun to see. I think I saw somebody was talking about, yeah, somebody recently was talking about doing one for Amnesia. But again, that's another crossover. Let me see. Automazura threw another two. What platform do you suggest for game making? I guess if you mean which engine, Unity is probably the easiest to learn, but you've seen all the issues with Unity, so I would never recommend Unity to anyone now. Um, Unless they make significant changes to the way they run that company. I know a lot of people are going with Godot now. I still love Unreal. It's the biggest learning curve, but if you learn it, Unreal is just awesome. So yeah, I mean, PC. If you're talking about the actual platform, then PC is the easiest one to start with. Um, I guess you could do mobile as well, PC or mobile. That's the basically the best way to start is with one of those two platforms. Unicat Ninjas threw another five, and she's got a long message for me. It says, Vince, you have been caught red-footed eating meatless fried air while mopping the grass with a washing machine, trying to watch TV on your toaster. Apologize. I regret nothing. Your money does not get an apology from me. Oh man, that's making me cough now. But thank you for the donation. Mr. Saturn through in five. Going only from chapters 1 through 4. Which stages are your favorite and least favorite stages to S rank? Favorite to S rank would probably be. I think I like, well, if you go chapter to chapter, it would be, of course, monkey business because it's easy. And then Elementary Evil. You know, it's really a pain in the butt to S rank the Deadly Decadence and Crazy Carnival. So then it would be Stranger Sewers. And of course, Mascot Mayhem. For some reason, I don't like S ranking Torment Therapy. And then Barely Buried is also kind of a pain. So I guess those are my favorite. Least favorite, if you caught all that. Kelvin1228 threw in a Hong Kong 15. Thank you. Again, does Malik have a boss? What do you mean? Malik is the boss. He's the ultimate boss. He runs this show. So, yes. Oh, I guess I interpreted. Sorry, it's like 2 a.m. here. I'm misinterpreting things. You're asking if he has a boss above him. Um, yes and no. You'll kind of see why in chapter 5. I can't dig into that too much. Unicat Ninjas threw another 5 and asks, well, no, King Orange asks, why is Monsters and Mortals being ported to Unreal Engine 5? Well, it's not being ported. It was already ported. So Monsters and Mortals is already built in Unreal Engine 5. That's primarily because that's the latest game engine. That's what consoles support. Support for Unreal Engine 4 is going away. It's an old engine. That's just how it goes. Technology advances. We have to advance with it or we get left behind. So I'm sorry for anyone that has an older PC that can't handle Unreal Engine 5, but we kind of have to keep up. So visually, there's a big difference between UE5 and UE4, and we've already seen how people trash on games that don't look good enough. So we don't want to be in a situation where our games don't look good enough because we're using an old, outdated engine. So that's why. UBF 13 through 2, thank you again. Does Adriana sing in the credits? Actually, no. We have a different vocalist for the credits, and I haven't revealed her song yet, but it's really good, and I'm actually very excited to share it. But I have to contain my excitement until it releases. So it's really sucks when there's a lot of stuff I want to share and I can't, and I just have to kind of sit on it and be quiet. Let's see, Unicat Ingest through another 2. Dubious Mod is my favorite mod for Dark Deception. Okay, I'm not familiar with that one, so I will check it out. Dubious Mod. Autumn Azure threw another 2. Thank you again for your multiple donations. I love your game. It inspired me to make mine. Thanks. Oh, okay. I would be interested to see your game if I haven't already. Maybe I have. UBF 13 through and 2. Will we get any voice reveals soon? Yes, probably. Those are some of the teasers I will drop. Not with Super Dark Deception, but leading up to Chapter 5's release, I'll start to drop some voice reveals. Let's see. Pro Gamer threw in €2. Thank you, Pro Gamer. You can't kill the vampire in the House of Ashes DLC map. If you got the latest update, you can. Initially, you couldn't, but we patched it and updated it, and now you can. But it takes a lot of hits. Oops, I lost my place. One sec. Okay, Dark Deception Dill threw in 2. Hi, Vince. Hope you're good. Is Dark Deception on UE4 still? Yeah, Dark Deception is locked into Unreal Engine 4. Unfortunately, we can't update it because of a lot of the frameworks it uses are specific to Unreal Engine 4, so we're not able to update it to UE5. That's why I said Dark Deception 2 will be our first Unreal Engine 5 Dark Deception game. This one's kind of locked into Unreal Engine 4, and we can't change it. Let's see, JM Death Punch threw in 5. Thank you. In the future, do you plan to extend the settings menu to have more options? Example, AMD, FSR, NVIDIA, DLSS, and many more. Yeah, we're giving the options menu kind of an overhaul to add more features that were kind of lacking. So you'll probably see that in you will see that in the final. See, Alp threw in another 2001. Thank you, Alp, again. Can you tell us the name of Malik's level? Not at this time, no. I'm sorry. Anonymous Fan threw in another 5. Thank you. What characters will be in the Piggy DLC other than Piggy? Well, we haven't nailed down which characters, but there were a few that were mentioned. Let me see if I can pull up some of them just to take a look. One moment. Just going to take a quick peek at what we discussed. Okay. What are their names? I got pictures, but I don't have their names. I'm trying to remember what their names were. Sorry, bear with me. Minitoon didn't give me their names either. Okay. He did not name them. I have to look them up. So one's a mouse hanging from strings. Another one is kind of a bendy looking version of Piggy crawling on the ground. And of course, Piggy. So if any Piggy fans know their names, those are kind of a few of the ones we were discussing, but we haven't really decided on those yet. So they are subject to change, but that's kind of what was on the list at this time. Okay, let me see. Where was I at? Unicat and Ingest threw another 2. Can the beloved Joy Joy Gang be in Dark Deception 2? Well, I haven't decided everyone who's going to be in Dark Deception 2 yet. So there will be some familiar enemies in Dark Deception 2, but there will be a lot of new ones. That's the best way to keep growing that universe is to expand it. We can't just keep reusing the same ones, same characters over and over again. Kind of like a Mario game, you know, you always get something familiar in each Mario game, but they always add some new characters. And that's how the Mario enemy list keeps growing. It's kind of like that, same approach. Let's see, Shark Fan 2 threw in £5. So chapter 5 is going to have 5 levels instead of 4, and am I correct in saying all levels have 3 zones? If so, this chapter is going to be gigantic. Nope, that's correct. 5 levels, 3 zones. It's huge. That's why it's taking a long time. Automazor threw in another 5. Thank you. Which monster are you looking forward to returning in Chapter 5 the most? Which newcomer to the cast are you most excited to show the public? I mean, of course, I'm excited to show both Darkstar and Puppet King. I mean, everyone's seen their images, but it'll be fun to show their personality, their abilities, their AI, like how their behavior, that kind of stuff. And as far as which monster, I'm looking forward to seeing the Murder Monkey and Dread Ducky again. Those are just, you know, those are my all-time favorites. Okay, so Blood Violet threw in 2. Any snow or ice in a holiday horror? It's a repeat of a previous question. I can't really specify what holiday horror looks like or what's in it. Just that you know it's a mall. But, you know, I'll share some images down the road and you'll get to see kind of what it looks like. Puppet King 69 threw in $2. Any chance we could get a Monsters and Mortals Lethal Company DLC? Not at this time, no. We've got too many DLCs to get through. District D threw in 22. Thank you, District. It says, will there be musical number performances in Chapter 5? I can't really answer anything about what's in Chapter 5. Sorry, but thank you for donating. Z and Nee threw in 2 as well, or threw in 2. Who is most outgoing extrovert monster in Dark Deception? Outgoing, probably, well, it would probably be Agatha and Penny, because, I mean, Agatha comes out to greet you and tries to throw you a party. And Penny is also very aggressive in showering you with attention. So as far as being extroverted, those were the 2 that immediately came to my mind. I mean, in some ways you could say the Reaper nurses, but they are just kind of doing their job. It's more of like an obligation. They're not really going out of their way because they need to. Penny and Agatha need to. They need that attention. Unicat Ninjas through another 2. Vader asks, will we get more U2s? Yeah. So we have some more U2s coming. I'm not sure what it will be yet, though, because U2s has kind of shifted their focus to plushies now. And they're less interested in doing the vinyl figures. I guess they think the plushies are better return. So I'm not sure what exactly we will work on with them, but we'll do something. Let's see. Automazur asks, or threw another 2 and asks, do you have an official name for the blob monster yet? Nope, and I can't discuss that creature either. Nor can I deny or confirm it's the blob monster. Although I did kind of compare it to the blob at one point. Unicat Ninjas threw another 5. Gaming Scrooge asks, is there a zone with multiple floors and prison panic? Can't answer that. Is Death Follows a Holiday Horror Zone 2 chase theme? Can't answer that either. And are all Holiday Horror OSTs done? Yes, I believe they are. I've released, yeah, I did. I said that was the final one. So I have released all the music tracks for Holiday Horror. So I can answer that one. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5, and this time it's for UBF 13, who asks, will every other level in Chapter 5 have an individual roaming and chase theme for each zone like Holiday Horror does? I mean, all of the levels have kind of the same tracks. They have the uh, the normal track, the frenzy chase track. There's an escape track. There's usually like a roaming or cutscene track, and then there's a boss track. And towards the end with chapter 4, the boss tracks kind of split and become um, kind of like the dark version and the light version, or the inspirational version. So that's kind of the playbook for the music for all levels now. They all have their version of that. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5. Or sorry, no, I already read that one. I'm reading back the same thing. James Smith threw in €2 and asked, "How big is Mascot Mayhem?" Well, I mean, Mascot Mayhem went out with Chapter 4. Well, I thought it was big at the time, but now compared to Chapter 5 levels, it's pretty medium size, I would think. And that's why we're adding more to it, just to make it, give it a little bit more content. At the Speed Beyond Light threw in 2 Canadian. Thank you. And asked, will any OST for level 12 or 13 be released? Probably not. I mean, like I said, a lot of the music in Chapter 5 is spoiler territory. There's some music tracks I just can't release, even though I want to, because I want to share great music with you. Dan's done an amazing job on the music in Chapter 5. And, my instinct is I want to share it, but I can't. So there's going to be a lot of levels that I can't share the tracks for. Anything I share has to be pretty obscure or vague so that it doesn't really give anything away. Unicant Ingest threw another 2. It says, "Pineapple Head Puppet King Woo." Thank you again. James Smith threw another €5 and said, "Will Puppet King say, 'When King speaks, you listen'?" Now, he says some interesting lines, but he won't have that one. Unicant Ingest threw another 5. Vader says, "Vince, a friend of mine, said Dark Deception is unholy. How dare they?" I dare. No, sorry. That's actually a compliment. I'll take that. Somebody called my game unholy. That's great. Pro Gamer threw in another €2. Thank you, Pro Gamer. Are Puppet King's masks part of the gameplay? His puppets are part of the gameplay, not his masks. Shadow X Acno threw in 5. Thank you, Shadow. Will there be end credits scene in Chapter 5 for a cliffhanger leading to Dark Deception 2, or is that a you'll see? Anything with the end credits is a you'll see. I can't deny or confirm anything. I'll just be like, and shrug, and yeah, you'll see. Sorry. Pro Gamer threw in another €5. Thank you, Pro Gamer. Vince, we didn't get any Monsters and Mortals lately. What? Was there supposed to be a patch? Oh man, I'm choking again. It's a great thing about COVID is it makes your throat get really scratchy often. So I may choke for no reason. See, we didn't get any Monsters and Mortals lately. Was there supposed to be a patch after the House of Ashes DLC released? There actually was a patch, but it was a stealth patch. We just didn't release any update. But if you played it recently, you would have seen a small update patch in. That was the one that made the monsters or the vampires killable, so you can actually hit them now. We also slipped in a few fixes for some issues. One of the fixes we added was adding, well, not fix, but an addition. Well, to me, it's a fix. Is adding like a smoke trail to Jason's ultimate, so you could actually see where his grenade is going. When it launched, it didn't have that, so people were confused about where they were shooting the grenade. So we've already actually patched it with several fixes. It's just they were stealth patched, and there was no announcement or patch notes. Let's see, Justin Awesome threw in 5. Actually, Justin Awesome put in 3 questions for 15. Thank you, Justin. First question, will we get to hear Doug speak in Chapter 5? Would it be cool if Death from Puss in Boots, The Last Wish appeared since Doug didn't value his life? Sorry. The choking begins. Will we get to hear Doug speak in Chapter 5? Actually, you will get to hear his voice at least once. I won't say where or how, but you will get to hear him. Why are there two switches in Deadly Decadence Manor if you only need to press one to open the gates? Why'd you remove two of the cannons in CC's intersection trap? So there's two switches. Sorry, I'm trying to remember. Oh, that's because each one controls one side. It just depends on which side you go on. You have the option to hit either one. That was just so people wouldn't have to backtrack to one switch. It was a convenience ad to have excessive switches. And then remove two of the cannons in CD's intersection trap. That one I'm not really familiar with because we didn't really remove anything from CC. That could be a bug. Let's see. Third question. If you can have any of the abilities so far, which one would you choose and why? Could William Afton be one of the monsters and mortals since he's a murderer? Well, we already have Dawko, who kind of looks William Afton-ish with his character. Purple guy, so Dawko will have to be it for now. And as far as abilities, definitely teleport. It just seems so useful. I mean, speed boost would be a close second, but I would definitely go with teleport. Judinator threw in 10. Last question. Would you all remodel the graphics menu in DD to look like Days Gone or the Dead Space remake, where you can see the graphics change in real time behind the menu? Oh, I see. So you're talking about if you make video card changes to or the video card setting changes that you will see it updating the screen behind it. No, our options menu won't do something like that, but I mean, you will be able to see the result after you apply the changes. Pro Gamer threw another £5. Yeah, euros, sorry. I meant to say earlier, we didn't get any Eminem update, Monsters and Mortals update after the House of Ashes DLC released. Was there supposed to be a patch? Yeah, that's the one I answered. We did patch it. Let's see. Cozen likes nuggets through an NOK 25. Thank you, Cozen. Will the mannequins still be on the menu for Chapter 5? Yes, there's lots of mannequins in Chapter 5. Unicat Ingest through in 5. Marshall JPG asks, why are Mascot Mayhem zones smaller compared to other levels like CC and TT? CC was multiple floors. I mean, CC is not really that big if you think about it. It's just narrow walkways. So, yeah, there's more walkways, but it's just a claustrophobic little path. There's not like rooms or anything. So I wouldn't call CC bigger other than the exterior. Because Zone 2 and Zone 3, or sorry, Zone 1 and Zone 2, Zone 1's pretty bare bones, and Zone 2 is just one floor. So I think with 3 zones, I wouldn't call CC bigger than Mascot Mayhem. Also, Torment Therapy is only 2 zones, but the second one's multiple floors. I mean, that really is kind of a matter of opinion. I would say Torment Therapy's got a good amount of walkable space. But when you factor in all 3 zones, I wouldn't call that one bigger either. Let's see. DF ACH Games threw in 2 euros. Has Dan completed all the soundtracks for Chapter 5? No, he's actually still doing more music because it's a really big chapter, and there's a lot of tracks for Chapter 5. So it's going to be a big mini album for that. Dark Deception Dill threw another 2. I don't know why that makes me laugh each time I see it. Besides Monsters and Mortals, have you seen any Dark Deception mods? Not mods, but I've seen fan games. So I've seen a lot of Dark Deception fan games that are upcoming, and I put some of my favorite ones into the holiday video that I did. But I haven't seen any mods. Usually when the mods pop up for Dark Deception, what I see is them running Unreal on Locker and just going crazy with that. But I haven't seen any like actual mods that were built from scratch or designed for Dark Deception. So if anybody has any, I mean, feel free to share it. It just hasn't come to my attention yet. Justin Awesome threw in 2. Crazy Carnival's intersection cannons, there was 4. Like I said, we haven't really touched Crazy Carnival since chapter 3. Like we haven't all the fixes we've made to previous chapters are locked into the current build, which has never been published to the store. So what's online right now for the store is a few patches after release for those chapters. So we haven't really modified them at all since their release, at least not for the public. We've fixed all those bugs for chapters 1 through 4. It's just because it's baked in with chapter 5, we can't push it because then people could rip chapter 5 content. There's no way to stop them from doing that. So that's why we don't push anything until chapter 5 goes out. That's kind of one of the downsides of doing episodic chapters, is that situation where we have to kind of lock down. We're not going to make separate builds to stop that. We have to keep everything one build. Let's see. Pro Gamer threw in €5. Thank you. There was no patch released for the HOA DLC after came. The changes aren't in the game. Hey man, I'm telling you, it's in there. Trust me. I played it. It's in there. I don't know why. You might want to like log out of Steam and log back in and see if you get the patch. Unicat Ninjas threw in 2. Thank you, Unicat. Vader asks, will Super Dark Deception on mobile and PC be different prices? Yes, mobile will always be cheaper just because it's mobile, and that's just kind of how the ecosystem works there. People, it makes sense because they'll buy it on more devices so that they can play it on different things. So we try to keep it cheaper. On the consoles, it's a little bit more, but the price is going to be pretty similar. Zia Nee threw another 2. Will Super Dark Deception Chapter 2 and 3 launch together? No, they're going to be a little bit apart. So they won't launch at the same time, but they'll be pretty close together. You won't have to wait long. Anonymous Fan threw another 5. Who voiced the Yandere Police and Fun Girl? Oh, shoot, who was that? Fun Girl, I think, was voiced by Michaela Laws. But I want to check and make sure. I actually don't recall who did her voice. Or it may have been a file that we just received from Yandere Dev himself. The police was actually made by us using a sound library because there was no voice for the police officers in the game. So we had to kind of make up some lines. Argo 4 threw in £2. Thank you, Argo. Could we ever get fan games as Monsters Immortals DLCs? The only way a fan game would get published as an official DLC is if it got cleared by our team and signed a publisher agreement with us. For that to happen, it would have to, one, be completely original, nothing copyright infringing. So it can't be a crossover. Unless they actually own the license, which is pretty unlikely. And then it would have to be something that adds a lot of value to the game. So something like an original character would never get published. It would have to be something like they create a really interesting level. Something like that would have a chance to be a Monsters Immortals DLC. But nobody's done that yet, so I don't really have anything to talk about or consider at this point. So if anyone's interested in doing a Monsters Immortal DLC, that's something you could think about and start working on. Go for it. Automazura threw another 2. Describe Chapter 5 in 5 words. It's the 5th chapter. It's the 5th game chapter. That's it. That's all I can describe it as. Or it's the game's 5th chapter. There you go. I got to rephrase it in 5 words. Unicat Ninjas through another 5. Feel better, bro. COVID sucks. I should get back on making fan content soon. Stay tuned. You should. It's been a while. I haven't seen your stuff in a long time. Ghost TM through and 2. Is Balathu's UA a typo? The Falming Spear. Yeah, that was fixed in the patch. How come so many people don't have the patch? Oh man, you guys gotta log out of Steam and log back in to get the update. That means a lot of you don't have the update yet. We fixed the Falming Spear. It's not there anymore. So yeah, but that was funny. We almost left that one in just because I don't know, it sounded funny. But yeah, it's Flaming Spear now. Shark Fan 2 threw in 20 pounds. Thank you, Shark Fan. Will the M&M, or I gotta stop saying M&M. It's making me want candy. Monsters and Mortals cutscene changes explain 1. Why Doug didn't use power. Oh, I think you meant Dark Deception. Oh, Mascot Mayhem. I don't know why whenever I see MM, I just think Monsters and Mortals right away. Will the Mascot Mayhem cutscene changes explain 1. Why Doug didn't use powers to get past Joy Kill at the end? What happened to the ring piece Doug got? What happened to the self-destruct countdown while Malik was in Doug's mind? Oh, wow. Actually, you're a pretty good guesser. So yeah, actually I can answer this since this is a released chapter. So some of the extra cutscenes that Mascot Mayhem will have is 1. Why Doug didn't get past Joy Kill. 2. What happened? Well, I mean, the ring piece that Doug got, that was already kind of tied in with Barely Buried. But yeah, what happened to the self-destruct countdown is one that we've kind of addressed. And also, we've kind of reworked the intro with the Joy Joy gang a little bit as to how you run into them when you first enter the park. So those are just a few of the extra scenes added. Let's see, Unikent Ninjas threw in 5. Events just checked as well in game and on Steam, and there's no change or patch that was released after House of Ashes DLC released for Eminem. For Monsters and Mortals. God, I gotta stop saying Eminem. Okay, Monsters and Mortals. Keep trying. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's out. I have it. I'm playing it. So I don't know why you guys aren't getting it. Maybe I can talk to Nixon to force the patch for everybody. There might be some people who aren't getting it. There is a way to force the patch to all accounts so that everyone gets it. So it just may be a situation where some people aren't getting it, and that's not your fault. So I'll see what I can do. I'll see if there's an instance where the patch isn't reaching everybody. Could be an issue with regions. Let's see. Anonymous fan threw in 5 again. Thank you, Anonymous, again. What is Agatha's relationship to the alphabet letters boss? It's the school, man. You got to learn your ABCs in school. She's got friends there, right? ABCs are your friend. Language is your friend. It's just Agatha's twisted version of an elementary school. I mean, of course, even the education would kill you there. Let's see. Joshua 78600 threw in 2. Thank you, Josh. Will Puppet King move his mouth like Mama Bear did? Yes, he will. It will not be static. Unicat Ninjas threw in another 5. Vader asks, will you be able to buy all Monsters Mortals DLC DD chapters in a pack? Yeah. So, you mean like both games at once together? I mean, we could do a bundle. Once everything's out, yeah, then we'll be able to put kind of Steam bundles together to offer a discount to people that want to get both or just get everything together. I mean, right now we have Dark Deception complete. That's all the Dark Deception chapters, but we don't have anything for Monsters and Mortals. So maybe at some point we'll do a complete bundle that has like Super Dark Deception, Monsters and Mortals, and Dark Deception in it. Something like that would be pretty cool. Although I think a lot of people already have a lot of that. So I think Steam, though, lets you only pay for what you're missing. So that could be okay. Isaac Smith threw in 5. Thank you, Isaac. When making Monsters Immortals, was there any consideration to add Five Nights at Freddy's? Yeah. I mean, we did reach out to Five Nights or to Scott Cawthon. I talked to him, and his answer was basically kind of I think what he gives everybody, which was not no, but not right now. And then I kind of found out later that Scott just prefers to focus on FNAF. He doesn't want to really do collaborations, which is understandable. It's a lot of work. So, and it just adds stress to his life to have to worry about something like that, which is something he doesn't control. If you've noticed, like Scott works with studios that he can have a lot of influence with. And they kind of work under him to make FNAF games. So merchandise, I think he's pretty loose on. Like if you want to sell some FNAF merchandise, it's probably not that hard to get the license. But doing any kind of game collaboration is a different matter. Let's see, Unican ingest through another 2. I meant Super Dark Deception chapters. Wait, what? Did I miss? Oh, okay. You meant Super Dark Deception chapters, not Dark Deception. Well, yeah. I'm just gonna go back to what I said. Like, it'd be cool to have all 3 games in one bundle. I think we could do something like that. Or it could be like Super Dark Deception and Dark Deception together. The complete Dark Deception experience bundle. We'll see. Joshua threw in another 5. Thank you, Josh, again. Will Illbleed be in Monster and Mortal, for example? Erico Jorg and Quark as Mortal, Michael Reynolds as Monster, Wood Puppet as Traps, and Zodic as a boss. I'm impressed that you know Illbleed from Dreamcast. Like, I know Illbleed, but I would think, I mean, I had to explain to a lot of our fans, Dark Deception fans, what Silent Hill was. So I didn't think anybody would know Illbleed. That's like such a obscure game from the early 2000s. I would love to put Illbleed, but it has no fans, and the studio that made it doesn't even exist anymore. So there's no way to license it. So yeah, I guess that's just kind of lost to time. Oh, here's a good one. Okay, £2 from Shark Fan, and he asks, any updates on the Glowstick Awards? Yeah, so the Glowstick Awards were supposed to happen at the end of last year, but then the family emergency came up and kind of got in the way big time. And also the studio that we were having the trophies made with kind of flaked on their obligation, and we had to cut the contract with them. So we were looking for a new trophy maker to finish that, and the other ones we've run into aren't that good. So we're still kind of working on finding a replacement to put out a high quality trophy because we don't want to make cheap garbage. And then, so we were probably going to have to shift that to 2024 instead of 2023. So the Glowstick Awards are still going to happen. And really that's good because I think a lot of the fan games needed more time to kind of finish up. So we'll be able to consider more people for the award versus last year. But yeah, we are fully still in the process of having those trophies made. And we'll probably select winners by Halloween this year. That just seems like the perfect time to do it, is like, you know, in the spooky month, you know, during Halloween. Whereas last time it was going to kind of be rushed towards the end of Christmas, the holiday season. See, Lemon Peppermint threw in 2. What's Hauser's family members' opinion on Christmas? Well, I mean, Tammy has a great opinion of Christmas, but I think Doug and Elise kind of lost the magic a bit due to the turbulence of their relationship. But you know, kids always see the magic. It's adults that kind of lose the sense of that as they get older, and life kind of bogs them down. Speed Beyond Light through another 2 Canadian. Thank you again. Will there be an ending for all monsters in Dark Deception? No, there's no ending for monsters. I can tell you that now because the focus is not them. They're part of the story, but they are not the star. At least not in that sense. They're not the protagonist, so there's no ending for them. They're just part of the various endings for Doug. Joshua threw in another 2. Thank you, Josh. Does Darkstar have a crush on Malik? I can't tell you anything about the characters and who they crush on or how they interact with each other, but not a bad question. So that's it for super chats, and that's good because I'm slowly petering out, and it's 2:40 a.m. here. I'm surprised I made it this long. I said this was supposed to be shorter, but it's already almost at 3 hours. But thank you for sticking it out with me as I fumble through all your questions, and I hope you all had a good time listening to these answers. So I'm going to try to get these Q&A live streams back on track and do these monthly like I was doing before. So the next one, let's see, this is the end of February. Probably the end of March. I'll set the next one towards the end of March, and we'll do this again, and I'll have a better setup in here by then, so we can have a bit more fun with this and maybe add a few more features for these Q&A live streams to spice them up a bit. So yeah, and I'll definitely be a lot healthier next time. So excuse me for listening to me choke the whole live stream. I'll see you all next time. Thank you for stopping by. Wherever you guys are, peace out. And yeah, if you have any games that you're working on, feel free to share them on Twitter or send them to the partnerships email. All right. You guys have a good one. I'll see you next time.